All right, guys, before we get into this podcast, football's in full swing, and you know what that means. Prize Picks, go download the app right now. Use code Bradley, and if you put in $5, literally your first line at $5, they'll give you $50. So whether you win or lose, draw, doesn't matter. You're getting $50 for free. I guess if you lost, you got $45, whatever, doesn't matter. Code Bradley, download the app right now. Also, right now, Prize Picks just started adding picks during the game. So like if the game is already live, previously, if you didn't already have the pick in, it's gone. But now you could pick during the game. Obviously, there's a cutoff at some point throughout the game when like the pick, depending on whatever pick it is like you can't do it. But for the most part, you can do live picks. So give it a shot. Go to Prize Picks right now. Download the app. Code Bradley. Put in $5 on your first sign up. You get $50 literally for free. Win, lose, or draw. All right, let's get into this podcast.
No. I don't have an addictive personality. I can't get addicted.
I don't either.
I could do heroin, whatever. I'll be straight.
Wow.
No, I have. I did it with morphine in the hospital. That shit was great. But next day I wasn't like, I need to go back to the hospital. I don't understand addiction. That shit don't work for me. I love my life too much.
But it's like there's different kinds of addictions.
Like what?
I mean, the gym is a form. It's not like it's not a.
I don't think that's an addiction. I think it's a necessity.
Yeah.
Addiction is like you fucking up your life to do something that ain't beneficial.
I mean, if you directly define it like that, the word addiction.
Or something you can't stop
Something
doing.
you can't stop doing.
Can't stop breathing.
Breathing's an addiction. Yeah.
What is it called?
That's a good addiction.
Anatomic. What is it called? What system is that shit?
The one that's automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget the name for that.
Fucking complicated name. That word.
Something, dude. How did you guys meet originally?
Through a good friend. She was like wanted to connect us.
Yeah.
And we got on live and we just started talking and just building.
Do you guys do business together?
I don't even remember.
Nah, we just friends. Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what? Here's the thing. Like how I end up doing business with my homies is we just be homies and then the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
I think if it's better if it's something natural.
Yeah, me and Sean was friends for years before we did anything.
That's right.
Yeah. That's usually how it goes.
But it's funny, you were talking earlier about people, I think you were kind of like talking about reprimanding people that work with you or for you. When you
Punching people.
Yeah. Jokingly.
He slaps, I punch.
Yes.
You stab.
Yeah, I guess I slapped
too.
too. Yeah. But no, it's working with friends is always difficult.
That's the thing, bro. Because I'd be like I'm beat up. You beat me up.
Man, working with family is more difficult.
This is what we had to do, though. We've been hiring people to be that interface, project managers.
In between.
So I ain't got to talk to you about your shit. Because when I talk to anybody, it's like a crisis. Like
It gets emotional.
They just fall apart. Like I'm so mean. I'm not that mean. I'm not mean. I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm just direct. But now
You
we
dark.
got
That's what it
somebody else.
He said you dark.
Cause I be quiet. Sometimes I'll come in quiet and everybody's on. I'm like, I'm just being quiet. Like Sean came to me one day. He was like, bro, he was like, look, I don't know how to tell you this, but when you're quiet, everyone's like nervous. I'm like, what?
I think certain people just have the
He
demeanor.
said when you're like alive, everybody's happy. I'm not. I'm like, you can't make me. You can't make me do that.
I get that a lot.
You control the atmosphere. You control the energy.
But sometimes I just don't feel like talking to everybody.
Yeah, I know.
And if I go in without my glasses, I can't see everybody's faces. And they don't realize it.
When did that start happening to you?
Bro, it's getting worse and worse.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie.
It's getting worse and worse.
I'm like, what the fuck is going
I'm a little
on?
bummed out now because my glass is dirty, but yeah, it's a little bad. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get LASIK though.
My mom did that forever ago before it was like
Everybody that say they did it, love it.
yeah, and she did it years ago when it was like kind of not as I guess good as it is now.
Yeah.
So but I guess I'm curious like I mean really for you cuz I've known you for fucking forever. I mean literally it's
2012.
how many I'm so bad at math. How many fucking years is that?
12 years, 13 years.
Yeah. And you were one of the first people that I was like really filming content with years ago, man. And you kind of like you're for sure one of the first pioneers in the YouTube fitness space. And then you've gotten out of that and kind of, right? Like you don't really do YouTube like you did. So what do you do besides the supplement thing? Like, is that your main focus?
I still do YouTube, but it's not. Back in the day, it was like a revenue stream for me. It's not no more, right? I got so many other things that's lucrative that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
But I still love making content. I do stuff for other people behind the scenes a lot, right? I love doing that. But my main things is Ambrosia Supplement Company and my mentorship. I love that. I love it. You know
When did you start doing that, really?
Last year, January of 2024.
You know, it's funny. I feel like maybe I get asked this a bunch, like not necessarily about mentorship stuff, but I've been asked this about coaching for like fitness transformations, et cetera. People, because I did that years ago, like one of the first people.
I do that too, but mine is so automated, I forget that I got it.
Right. Yeah. But what I was saying was like, it's cool when there are people who actually done and have like worked in the space for so many years, and then they get to a point where they're like, okay, now I'm going to actually do like this mentorship where it's like something that's actually like you've done it for years.
Right.
Instead of like a lot of people get in the game and they're like, this is how I'm going to make money from the beginning, which is like, it's a very common thing. I think with the internet it's gone faster and faster. It's like people get on it, they just get into a space and they're like, I'm this guy who could teach you how to get rich. And it's like, but me teaching you, like one of those guys I think that people would always make fun of back in the day was like Ty Lopez. You know how he was like,
fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Like, but then again, I don't know, like he must've made money at some point to have the ability to, he was like, you know, I don't know if he's buying houses or renting houses, renting cars or having cars, but he seemed very wealthy.
People talk about that, like renting, like that's like, it's the same amount of money. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's renting a mansion, they can afford it.
No, he had money. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But like, I guess that's sort of a bad example because I don't really know all the details of him. And he was always a really nice guy to me. But a lot of people get into spaces now and they're like, I'm a fitness coach, but they just started working out like 2 months ago, but they look kind of decent, took some gear. Or like I'm a lifestyle coach, but it's like,
it's weird. Sometimes that shit works.
Oh, it works all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
It works.
I think that's the biggest thing right now is like creating communities, starting a school, things of that nature. But I think that you should be an expert, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that you have actual experience in something before you teach it.
Right.
Right. There's because you're not going to be the best teacher, number one, because you're not going to be able to help people through the pitfalls.
You're still learning.
Actual learning experience.
Yeah.
I think when you get to a point in life where you get good at something, teaching makes sense because then you learn what you don't know. You start learning by teaching.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You feel me? Because 100%. Now you got to reverse engineer a lot of your own frameworks and success and then give that to somebody else to see if they can get the same or similar results. So it makes sense to a certain point when you get to in a journey, like, all right, I'm gonna teach other people to do it. You feel me? But then you realize, like, damn, just because I can do something, sometimes you realize you can't teach other people to do it.
So the question I have is, both of you obviously can answer this, but when do you think is the right time to actually teach? Because I guess it depends on the space or the industry or the thing that you're teaching. But I've seen so many transitions of different people who at some point they're like, yeah, I have a community now. I'm coaching or I'm teaching this aspect of, you know, what I've done with my life, or whether it be in the fitness space or the business entrepreneurial space, or it's the holistic sort of like, you know, better your mind space. I know you kind of like go over this kind of stuff a lot. Because I've seen people go from like doing none of it to doing it to then now I'm teaching other people in a quick manner, but some people take a little bit more time and like to actually really learn to say, okay, now I'm teaching. Like you've been doing this for fucking, I don't know, 10, 15 years easy, but you just started 2 years ago, right? Some people would have started this like, I'm going to teach you how to be successful in this space, you know, a year after.
Well, here's the thing. So I got to learn things the way I learn, right? People have told me to do this a long time ago, but I'm like, I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it. For instance, when I started creating digital assets like ebooks, right?
Yeah.
My partner Natalie been telling me to do that for a long time. I'm like, I'll get to it, but I was just moving around too busy. I didn't start doing ebooks until I was locked up, right? I was like, all right, now I got time. And I was making so much money off it. I'm like, damn, why didn't I do this before, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of things, even with the online training. I started that, even though I've been doing it now for about 6 years, but I started that late, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Right? And I think about my online training, you ain't seen me promote it in over a year, right? I'm making 6 figures a month, me personally, because it's so good and it's so robust, right? If I would have started this 3 years prior, how much more money it would have been making. You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's like me, sometimes I move slow just so I can know that I'm doing things the right way. Even with my community, I did one open enrollment in 1 year ago, right? And have closed it, and I have my team is like, please, let's go. I'm like, nah, I want to make sure the back end is perfect, right? I want to make sure I'm doing a really good job with my community. You feel me?
Yeah.
I started that at $500 a month, right? The people that signed up in the beginning is still there to this day, a year later, right? So we have a good product, right? Now it's time to open up the floodgates. But I'm not trying to do, all right, this is easy to say because I got money, but I'm not doing this for money. You feel me? I know the money's gonna come, but I'm really I'm not moving for money at all. I'm good, right? So anything you see me doing, something I'm really passionate about, something I really want to do. There's a lot of things that I'm shooting down things with my team right now. Like we're going back and forth. This course, I'm like, I don't want to do it.
When did you stop moving for money?
Shit, like a couple years ago.
Is that true though?
What's that?
Is that like what you're saying?
Yeah.
But you got a nice chain on.
It's nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah,
I
but
don't,
it's like,
it's not. I'm serious, bro. I got a Phantom that I drove 3 times. I've had it about a year and a half. 3 times. I'm not exaggerating. The last time I drove it was on my birthday. That's almost a year ago. You feel me?
but then why? Like why?
I've grown out of certain things. I'm not tethered to these things anymore like I used to be. And here's the thing too. I lived before you knew me, I was a drug dealer, right? I made a lot of money, fast money, boom, boom, boom. When I started making legal money, I still kind of lived like a drug dealer, right? Just buying shit, dropping cash on this, dropping cash on that. And my sentiments was still tethered to that old world. But then as I started getting older and just being around, I'm used to everybody with money being like thoroughbreds. But then I was around dorks with money, you know what I'm saying? Buying the same cars as me and shit. So I was like, I kind of fell out of love with that. But then as my kids are getting older, I don't know, the things that excite me are different now.
Yeah.
It's not cars. It's crazy for me to say.
I was just never.
I've always been a car guy.
Yeah. Certain people are for sure.
And I've been a guy that like to shit on people.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now I just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
But I think that's a natural, for some people, it's a natural evolution, right? It's like if you go to niches when you talk about the will to power, right? And you talk about the difference between a truth seeker and like a money seeker. It's not that one is more moral than the other. It's just one man may find a natural inclination that his gifts are better suited in seeking truth. Like he can be more passionate about finding truth and be consistent on that. And he knows he's going to be able to create a better life, right? Following up passionate pursuit. While another person knows they better at making money, right? So they focus on doing that. But each one is that same will to power. It's the same thing, but we choose our pursuits based on self-awareness, right? So it's not even saying a lot of times that this person is better morally than the other because you make that shift. But sometimes shit don't bring you pleasure no more, right? You got the money. So now some people have the will to influence. So it feels the same as making money, right? So it really just depends on where you at in life, because you can get to a certain point where the money is no longer something that drives you. So now you're finding that other drive that you can continue to be willful for. Like when I'm gonna wake up in the morning and just get money for if I have money. But if I can wake up in the morning and I can influence somebody to do something and that makes me feel fulfilled, then I'm going to do that. So for me, I look at men not from a moral perspective, because a lot of people look at money from this moral position, but it's more so based on your will and what are you utilizing your will for.
Yeah, I get it. So it kind of comes down to what's actually creating fulfillment. I think there's like something interesting that happens when you try to figure this out, because most men and most young people in general in their life, they're trying to figure out like what is their purpose, like what is their actual passion. Also, how do they make money, right? So the question that I have, I guess, is really like, at what point along the way do you find that balance, and how do you find that balance? Because a lot of people, I'll get this question all the time. Like if I had a course or like a coaching course or some sort of, you know, because I don't necessarily I do that, the coaching stuff, the personal coaching, the fitness stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never really delved into this sort of
community
of like, okay, I'm going to teach people how to like go after their goals or their dreams or how to really like realize these things.
Right.
Other than the content that I just make like this, like we're
Right.
talking about it. So to the kid, because I get asked these questions a lot, to the kid who's like, I'm really passionate about this, but I don't know how to make money. Like, where do you even find that balance? How do you start to find that? Because a lot of people need to make money because you have to pay your bills.
You have to, right?
But then you're like, okay, well, I'm not happy doing this, and this is what, like, I have this job and I have to make this money, and this is the money I make, but I really want to do this here.
Yeah.
So how would you say to the young man? Because I kind of want to. That's what I kind of want to make this podcast about in general. Is about just men and younger men trying to figure themselves out. Because I feel like we're in a space where, especially with the internet now, everyone's just like, there's so many opportunities, but also because there's so many opportunities, there's so much like, I don't know which way to go.
Right.
Feeling for
That's
people.
the main thing. Even with myself, I used to do everything, but I stopped.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this. I'm not doing nothing but the things that I want to do, the things that serve me best, right? So I tell my community things like this all the time. Stop focusing on making money and be good at something. Be good at something. One thing. Double down on it, triple down on it, educate yourself on it, qualify yourself to be the best at
Even
that.
if it's not making you money.
It will at some point.
But you
right?
have, but
Okay, how do you make money? Help people. Provide a service.
For sure.
A product. That's the most sustainable way to make money. You understand what I'm saying? And you feel good about it. You know?
Yeah, I believe in becoming an expert at something. If you become an expert at something, you got a value to the world. Right? If somebody spends their time the whole entire year learning one subject, right? It's AI, right? All of a sudden, people will pay you for what you know. So you become more valuable, right, based on what you know. And the quickest way to add value onto self is to learn something new. The quickest way to give value to somebody else is to teach them something they don't know, right? So this is why a lot of people find being an educator key, because we're in an information age where we know a lot of stuff, but we don't understand a lot. And the way you know is because a lot of people had an early knowledge of Bitcoin. But if you had an early understanding, you would have changed your whole life around.
Oh, man.
So that you can take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing of what's going on in today's age. Like, we in a shifting world. But you got to look at what's sustainable for people as the world continues to shift. So I came from Japan. And in Japan, they practice ikigai, right? Where you find something you love to do, right? But then it also has to be something that you're good at, right? And then it has to be something that the world needs. So the world needing something don't mean it has to be like some life-changing thing. The world needs janitors. But if you're good at it and you love to do it, right? And the world needs it and it makes money, then it hits all four of those.
Right.
So when I'm out there, the Uber drivers were happy doing what they was doing, right? Because he was good at it. People need that service. It makes him feel good. He makes some money for it. He can create a balanced life, because the idea of the American dream is not real anymore, right? Especially when it was a white picket fence, house, dog, you know what I mean, a woman. But now motherfuckers sitting in the basement with Bitcoin and they happy. They can go travel the world.
That's a fact.
Trading fart coins right now.
Yeah.
So I think you want to pursue something that brings you gratitude. And when you find something that you're good at, it's sustainable because it gives you energy. So therefore you can do it all day long, right? So I think that that's a framework that people should focus on. Like, what is something that I can focus on? And then like the children of the future, it's going to be different because you're not going to be getting a job based on what was you able to memorize during school, right? You got good grades. Nobody cares about grades. Nobody going to care about degrees because we got machines that can do it for us.
100%.
NVIDIA just announced supercomputers. So
Personal.
I don't need you to remember nothing.
Yeah.
Human beings have to get back to being human beings, right? Like, what are the gifts that you have that you can unpack within self? And classrooms create different classes. Remember, different class system. The elite don't send their children to the same type of classrooms and they grade their lives off whether they was F students. No, they got to develop intuition, articulation, right? Relationship building skills, right? Things that allow them to be able to move throughout this world and be creative. Like, even the banks are saying that you should go look for philosophy degrees, learn the art of thinking so you can taste test and know how to move. But this is the age of resilience, where you got to learn how to be in flow during this time because things are constantly shifting. So if you don't understand that framework of you act, you sense, right? And then you grab those results and you figure out, all right, what's the best way to move forward from that? Like you got to have this pattern of this feedback loop. And a lot of young men today, unfortunately, live in this bubble where they're afraid of the world. So that's when they revert to things that doesn't really require you to be a man about, right? Because they looking for somebody else to take care of them, i.e. their parents. Like this generation live with their parents more than ever. And I don't consider it particularly a bad thing, but without a rites of passage to where it's like, you know, the Native Americans will send you out in the woods for like 3 days. You got to go forage your own food, find your own shelter, and protect yourself. But what this does is it break this bubble. Like, you know what? I'm a man. I can handle myself. Now I'm ready for the world. So you don't protect the child from the world. You prepare them for the world.
Yeah, it seems like we're getting to a point because of the internet and this information age that like there's this like kind of what you're describing as far as like Native Americans and how they would get someone ready to basically be a man and to like be able to, you can do this on your own now if you had to. We're getting to this point where like we're like right there in a lot of different ways. And I think men in general are just like, it sucks to say, but are just more frightened than ever because we could talk about tons of different topics, but like dating, business stuff, like picking the right lane, doing what's going to like actually make you happy, but also feel fulfilled and also make money. I think we're in a real like interesting spot where it's kind of like the original thought, I guess, or paradigms of like what like schools should be and what men should go do here, or like degrees, and it's all kind of being shattered. So everything is like, everyone's looking around like, yo, what the fuck should I do? Where should I go? And I'm telling you, I just get asked that question so much. Like, how do I figure out even what I'm passionate about? And I kind of have an answer, but I want your guys' answer on this. Like, how do you figure out what the fuck you're passionate about?
See,
this is the hardest thing because everyone says the same
yeah.
shit where they go, well, do something you enjoy. And then they go, okay, I go to do something I enjoy. And then
I don't say
well,
that.
fuck.
I don't say that.
But a lot of people do.
What you hate as well.
I think you should do what makes sense. Now, people talk about passion, right? And I'm like, start making money. You'll be passionate at how you're making money, because a man is not worth anything if he can't produce. If you're not important to, they talk about a high value man, and I hear this rhetoric and it sounds so ridiculous. They're talking about their height and their looks. I'm like, what? No, a high value man is valuable to his community. Is needed. If he's not around, people are like, oh shit, right? They're happy when he's coming around. A high value man is a producer and a provider and a protector, right? So I tell the young men all the time, you have to, first of all, be dangerous. Well, what does that mean? Like, why would you say that? Because there's dangerous people in the world that are bad. So you have to be a good dangerous person so you can counterbalance
can you
that. Protect, right?
Yeah.
But also being dangerous is being honest, right? Honest enough and brave enough to stand up against the status quo, right? Yeah. Dangerous enough to take chances, right? Also, like, give me the responsibility. I'm with it. I got it, right? So, and an intelligent man and a well-articulated person is dangerous, right? Especially the evil people. It's a lot of evil in this world. Now, we were talking about school, right? Listen, I see it. You said something very, very, very key about people in the higher echelon of society. Children are not in public schools. And my children are not in public schools, right? The kind of school my daughter goes to is insane, right? It's 2 hours of actual school, is AI driven. The kids are choosing their curriculum. They have Socratic discussions, right? Is fire. And all of these kids are on point. They start businesses. My daughter's 9. You feel me?
Yeah.
They're filling out paperwork for all of this stuff, like crazy stuff, right? But anyway, when you look at our current education model, is setting people up for slavery, for failure.
Yeah, absolutely. I had this conversation with Jordan Peterson on one of the Full Send pods, and it's just like people like that, and just people in general, like kind of what we're speaking to, like in your own communities, like trying to set up different ways to learn, because everything you're saying is like it's the reality now. Whether people want to accept it or not, it's just like,
I think young men can come to people like yourself, Keys, myself, to be a part of a community that's thriving and that's giving wisdom, right? But for the young generation, it's the parents, right? And I tell people all the time, like, your home should be the hub of the culture for your family. I call it the Holy Trinity. Healthcare should be home. Your law enforcement, home. and education, home, right? Why would you trust some strangers with your precious child, this beautiful little child? You giving them away for 8 hours at the best parts of the day, right? When you have the most energy, right? To be sitting in a classroom, a very stifling classroom. It doesn't breed creativity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very, like I said, it's stifling in every sense of the word. Raise your hand to do this. Ask permission to do whatever, right? And you know, those are very formative years of their lives. And you haven't done any research on these teachers. You don't know anything about these people, right?
Yeah, just supposed to trust.
You don't know anything about the kids' parents. These kids might have weird habits from their learning at home. You know what I'm saying? In a smaller setting, a private setting. And then I'm a big fan of homeschool or homeschool collectives as well. Because some people may feel like they can't afford homeschooling or private schooling, but there's collectives. Let's say we all got kids, right? And let's say we want to have a collective. So somebody's house can be the hub for the school, right? For our community, right? Somebody got to be qualified to teach. We'll figure that out amongst ourselves, or we'll pitch in to hire a teacher. We get certain licenses, right? And we can have our own collective of a school. So it's kind of like a private school, but it's a homeschooling collective. These things are all over the country. If you love your kids, do the research and find it, right? Because I know some people, they're working. I get it. You don't have the time or the bandwidth to be pouring into your children. But you got to think about it. Listen, if a child is not reared properly, look, some of us may not have had the best rearing, but we figured it out. But most people are not going to do that.
Yeah.
It's not reality. So I put responsibility always on the fathers first and the families at home, you know? We got to raise these children properly. Because if not, look, I feel like we are at a tipping point of something great and something great, good or bad, just something great.
Yeah.
You know?
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could kind of look at how we was raised, right? I think, and this is like my thing as well, because people ask me this a lot. And I realized that I had an outlier upbringing. I probably went through every adverse childhood experience you can go through, right? Mine is molestation or something, right? But
Well, damn.
Well, that's a.
well, because that's a big one. No, I didn't go.
Did you grow up without a father?
He was in and out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know,
Did you grow up without
it'd
a
be
father?
periods of time my
had my
pops would
father.
disappear. I didn't know where
my
the hell he
grandfather.
was at. Like my mother and father, she met my father in prison. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that was in the household. But we had a very interesting dynamic because we grew up Black Muslims. And one thing that we would do when we was young, we would train every single Monday night and every Saturday night. But when I was young, whether I'm in elementary school, I had to go train with the older fellas. This is like after school, starting at like 8 o'clock at night, ending until like midnight. So within that, you get in military training. They in there talking about business. Sometimes somebody do something wrong because these guys had like security companies and businesses of people that was a part of it. So you do something wrong, you might see the brothers get punished, right? We had the box inside circles. Then we learned metaphysical and spiritual teachings. So for me, when I think about that, like most young men not going to have that sort of development at an early age.
Right.
So for me to tell them, find your passion this way, right? They're missing a lot. But then I also grew up in the streets of Oakland and St. Louis. So within that, you get tested, you get challenges. They growing up on the internet. They growing up in a digital age. There's a book called The Message to Garcia. And it's during the Cuban Revolution where Garcia is given a letter that he has to take. And he has to take this letter essentially across an impossible battlefield to get it done. But he accepts the mission. He accepts it like, okay, I'm gonna get it done. Right? And the whole book is more so speaking to this psychological attitude, right, of grit and resilience that's missing in today's age. That you have enough, just get started with where you are. But today's young men in society feel a lack of. Like, I don't have enough to get started. What am I gonna do? And that mentality of excuses is pervasive. You feel me? Like, the idea of like, yeah, do what you love, but you might have to do what you hate to figure out what you love.
Yeah.
Right? So, because that's what actually allows your brain to develop that willfulness, right? Because a lot of people quit before they get good. So like the 22 episode theory of podcast is like, most people never make it to episode 23, 80%, right? Most people quit before they get good at something, right? So they're constantly jumping, looking for stimulation. It's the ADHD brain generation.
I think that sums up like the biggest problem in today's society is because at the same time, there's so many like directions to go and there's so many examples that because there are so many and there's so much opportunity, the people are constantly looking for different ways because they never get to that point where they go, oh, I'm actually good at this.
Right.
And I think what you said is so fucking key. The idea that you have to do some shit you don't love to be able to actually eventually do something you love, but also really understand and have the perspective that, oh wait, this I actually don't love. This I really do love because I know what it's like to not love something.
Right.
And I think people are so afraid of that part and they think they're going to get right to the riches or right to the, oh, I love this, I'm passionate. So they're constantly like looking around. Oh, well, I could try this. I could try, I'm on the internet. I could scroll. Oh, he's doing this. I could try this. And they never really get good at something.
Yeah, that can make you want to do something. So it's like, I look at it like a person wanting to be a rapper, or, you know, you can want to be a rapper because you look at the results that rappers get, right? They got the money, got lifestyle, they got these particular things, but you could be terrible at rapping, right? But you could be good at behind the scenes with a camera, but you don't want to do that because the lifestyle's not connected to it. So you end up pursuing something that's a part of your weakness instead of your strength, right? So now you have a terrible time on this journey and you're trying to figure out why it's not working for you, but you don't have enough self-awareness to know what you're good at and why you even want what you want, why you want it in the first place. And that's the danger of social media, is that we get to see everybody's a king on social media and you want their lifestyle, right? In real life, they're not kings, but it looks like that. But the problem is that, you know, and of course, this is what like media and social media is, that you get to see how everybody else live and you want the results of their lifestyle, but not the process of their life.
But you see a highlight reel.
Yeah,
reel. You don't really see their real life.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
You know, and that's what's...
Because the hard part is what gets you to the easy life.
Bro, there's so many people that's come to my facility, right? And they be like, oh, this is dope. And then I take them in the back and they like, oh, you got a whole little... I'm like, they don't know, right? They just see the front facing stuff, the internet, the social media, right? So I like, my content has changed a lot, right? Because I used to show everything, do this, do that, whatever, lifestyle.
I remember.
But I just, you know, what happened is this. I know that these young dudes are looking at me and they want to jump. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Adrian Broner, right?
Boxer. Yeah.
This dude was so talented. He was a shining star. He's looking at Floyd Mayweather and he's trying to emulate Floyd Mayweather at 38 years old. At the pinnacle of his career, when he's done all the work, right? He's trying to be, Money May. But he didn't look at Pretty Boy Floyd in the trenches, going hard, working hard, knocking everybody out, right? Being a dog, being in the shits of it, right? You're just looking at the end result. So you're trying to, you change it into about billions, bro. You're not even close to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It took Floyd Mayweather many years to get to where he's at, to display the things that he have and so on and so forth, right? And for me, it's like, all right, I gotta be showing everybody this shit. It's gonna attract people into my ecosystem. But the reality is most people are not gonna achieve this. You feel me? And another reality is this: depending on where you live at in the United States, you can make $80,000 to $90,000 a year and have a good life. You feel me? Not everybody lives here in LA or Miami or New York. You feel me? So the average median income is $50,000 in America. If you live in the right places and you're making a solid $75,000 to $85,000 a year, you're good. But that's not a sexy story, right? And here's the reality. I have friends who are married to dime pieces who are 80, 90,000 a year and their wives probably the same, and they have excellent lives.
Yeah.
Stress-free, house paid, take vacation, kids in college, the whole nine. That's the reality. People are looking at us as like the highlight reels, like only. You know what I'm saying? They're looking at the 1%. And it's interesting because I have conversations with women and it's like you could date somebody and they'll think that it's a lot of yous or a lot of yous or me's. I'm like,
oh, I don't exist.
Baby girl, we're in a 1% situation. I'm in a 1% in California.
Bro said I don't exist.
I don't exist.
It's fucking.
We're in a-
hold on,
we're in a-
sorry.
we're-
That shit threw me off, bro. I don't exist. It's crazy.
Don't even look for it. I don't exist.
This is not a reality.
I get
you feel
it.
me?
Yeah.
It's not. It's called 1% for a reason. You feel me? So
1% too big. It's 0.00001.
you know what I'm saying? So, and this is like, and me personally, I've been where I'm at for many years.
Yeah.
You feel me? So it's like, come on. It's the same for our fans that want to be us, right? Bro, I spoke, Andy Frisella, shout out to him, that's my dog. I went and spoke at SummerSlam, Summer Smash 1 year for him.
I love Andy.
That's the homie, bro. And I was like, yo, remember he was doing the motherfucking CEO
Yeah.
podcast? I said, yo, everybody can't be the motherfucking CEO. I know he was like, what? I said, listen, because I was giving props to his team. This is an incredible event. And I say, y'all, this is y'all. Just like me, when you see Mike Rashid, it ain't just me. It's my guys. It's my team. I'm nothing without them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a collective. If you are important to me, like I remember at the time, I bought one of my homies a Rolex, because I just appreciated him so much, right? It's like, this is what happens when you are valuable. You know what I'm saying? No one's gonna let you go, right? Until you wanna start your own thing or whatever. And I told him like this, I said, let's say you have a job. What's your dream? What's your job? I don't care what it is. Work that shit like it's your dream job, even if it's McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
And they looking at me crazy. I'm like, well, if you're too good for it, quit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
also
If you
the way you do one thing is the way you do all
how you do
things.
everything. And look, you work that shit like it's yours. You doing so many. First of all, that's really good karma, right? Because you're giving people a good service, which I think is a good thing to do. But also you're developing the grit, work ethic, and work capacity. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's necessary. You feel me? So, and then anybody in our positions, you know, bro, it's a lot of fucking, can you handle this? It's a lot of work. Right?
Yeah.
I get excited when shit is thick. It's like, let's go. I thrive in those situations. A lot of people is like, nah, that's crazy. But you doing a job that you don't really, it's not your dream job, but you doing that shit like it is, and you handling it, you the last one to leave, first one there, all of that shit matters. And then when it's time for you to go off and do your own thing, it's easy. You don't ever want
That's
to be a
the key.
person, you don't ever want to be a person to where if there's budget cuts that they thinking about you, they're like, nah, we got to figure this. You're good, but we're everybody else.
Yeah.
You want to be valuable, important.
And not only that, like what you just described, that person, whatever they do next, they're going to be able to
gonna
handle
be
it
good.
1,000 times
Yes,
better.
yes.
Even if it's like you said, it's not the dream job, but like you're taking like personal, real importance of
I
what you're doing.
respect it. I respect everybody. You're working. I respect it, but respect me and give me good service. Work that job for real.
Masculine thinking seeks challenge, because you want to test yourself, right? So that you know who you are. You can't know who you are unless you go through some sort of challenges.
Right.
So a lot of feminine thinking is in the young males' minds today, right?
This is what we
they
gotta
seek
talk about.
comfort
Yeah.
instead of challenge, right? And it's like if God tell you to do something, he ain't gonna tell you something easy. He gonna give you something that's a testament to your gifts and your skills, right? He only go give, if he don't give you nothing to do, it's because he don't believe in you.
Yeah.
If you got a
you
son
weak, yeah.
that you know is weak,
You're like, nah.
he ain't got no skills, the boy dumb as a box
Yeah,
of rocks.
yeah.
You don't give him that much to do. But if you got a son that's elite in thinking, his executive skills and functions is on point, he a young general, man, you gonna give him the whole world to run, right? Because that's a testament to his gifts and his skills and your belief in him. So a lot of people don't believe in themselves enough to give themselves a worthwhile and a compelling goal. Because as a man, you got to have some sort of goal to even know how to measure whether you're successful day to day, right? And then you got to be able to track the progress of that goal, right? Like I said, I wanted to do this. Now it got to that day where you said you was gonna get it done. You didn't. Now you know you a bullshitter. Now you know you procrastinate, right? Now you know you don't have that willfulness. So now you know what you need to work on. Well, I need to develop my discipline because obviously I can give myself an order, but I can't complete it, right? When somebody else say they go do it, they get it done. It's not because they trying to manifest some reality. It's because that's just who they are, right? So most people don't realize like what they trying to do is they trying to shift into the character that they want to be for the rest of their life. But that comes from having this victory mindset because you're a winner before you win. You feel me? Like you can have somebody working for you. They already a CEO. They just happen to have a job right now, but their entire mentality and reality is a CEO. So eventually they're going to have to move on, do their own thing, and it's going to be successful. Not because they manifested it, because who they are. Yeah. And the universe don't respond to your goals and your wishes, it responds to your vibration, your frequency. I always say what you do frequently becomes your frequency. So if you can live out your life based on your habits and your patterns, your life in the universe is forced to respond. Somebody in your environment got that true sense of self, you gonna react to them like, that's a real human being.
Okay, so check this out. Exactly what you're saying, the kid, the son that what didn't have those tools that you're like, yo, keep doing your thing. I think a lot of young men eventually become or are that kid. How do you teach that kid to start to see more value or to take more value in themselves and say, okay, I want to be good at, like, how do you teach that person, essentially is what I'm saying, to be willing to take more and to be less afraid and to do what they need to do to actually develop those skills?
It's actually simple, Brad. Do you want to be a loser or not? You feel me?
Yeah, I'm not.
That's what I pose to them.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a loser?
Yeah.
I can give you a glimpse into my life. I could do whatever I want to do. I've had these conversations with young men.
This is the thing I think we're missing. Exactly what you're saying. The stern fucking reality. Like, stop being a fucking loser.
Seek it out.
But that's father talk though. That's how a father speaks to you, where he trying to raise your mentality. But see, young boys, we observe, right? What's in our environment. So with a lot of the missing fathers, and then a lot of these fathers today are trying to figure out how to steer their own life.
Yeah.
Right? That's cybernetics, right? That's science of learning how to steer your life as things go wrong and things go right. So for me, I would say seek mentorship. But it doesn't happen to be somebody that's in your direct environment. You're watching somebody. And if you do what they do, you're going to get their results. Right? It's inevitable. Right? If you watching somebody that work out and you eat everything Mike Rashid eats and you work out in that exact pattern, you're going to get those results based on your genetics. And that'll be exactly him.
You don't have to go behind the paywall.
But that's also discipline. You become a disciple of somebody or something.
It's like, do you really want it? Right? There's a lot that I want and I go and get it. Now, listen, when I started doing everything in the entrepreneurial space, I didn't have anybody to go to. It was all trial and error. Now you motherfuckers have Perplexity, ChatGPT, right?
But that softens on up.
No, it's not though. No. Hear me out. How do I XYZ, whatever it is? What forms do I need? Perplexity will give you the forms.
It's too easy for them.
But they're not even trying. No one's doing that.
Ain't no challenge in it for them.
I ask people so often, well, have you used Perplexity or this or that? They're like, nah. I'm like, what? Listen, we don't live in our time. We live in this time, this digital for sure. AI time. Utilize it. Y'all can skip the line on a lot of things, right? Listen, you can be very consistent on social media as something silly and be a whole thing, right? There's a lady, I saw her shit, it was fucking hilarious. She sneaks up behind a mannequin in her kitchen and whoops his ass every day. It's fucking hilarious. It sounds stupid as shit.
Yo, what TikTok are you on, bro?
No. She's a whole, listen, she's a whole influencer now.
I get it. No.
Hundreds of thousands of followers.
Dude,
so she can monetize. Shit. I don't know if she is or not, but she can monetize that audience, right? We were talking about a cat I found this morning. He already seen him. He's like, he go to people's jobs. He say, oh, someone complained about you. And he started cussing them out, the managers and shit. I was like, damn, this motherfucker's touring. He's a whole comedian now.
Yeah,
right?
but I want people to understand the value is not what they doing, it's the process. Because behind that is a lot of work still.
It's doing something.
Right, but if you got the mindset, right, like the brother you talking about, he has to go get a corporation fund. He went and bought uniforms, right? He learned how to shoot proper angles. He went and got partners. He marketed, he branded. These are all still skill sets that we're looking at.
You're explaining it in a way that might be scaring them.
That's okay. Listen,
but it's not that crazy.
Because if that scares them, then they just phone. If that scares them, they ain't gonna never be nothing in life.
I'm just trying to I'm trying to let them know though.
But
the barrier of entry is low nowadays.
But it needs to be higher because that's where the challenge is.
But it's not though.
But even if a young man is successful, that don't mean he a man. Right? I mean, like he could be good on TikTok and social media, but he won't be good for your daughter because he don't have no life skills.
And none of these people good enough for my daughter. I'm not none of that shit.
It's funny though, the
But
conversation is the thing that epitomizes the thing that I'm getting at. Is like the confusion and like, where do I go? How do I start? Like,
But regardless, if you want to be a loser or not, like it's on
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
It's
I
on
think
you.
it's-
There's been times in my life, certain decisions I had to make. What was in my mind is like, first of all, my kids, and like I ain't about to be no loser. I'm not about to be a loser.
I think it just literally comes down to doing shit that you are fucking afraid of. I think fear.
y'all
Well,
both saying
that's courage.
Look.
Yeah.
It's just your brain is like figuring shit the fuck out. That's it.
Yeah. But what that means is most people at most points in their life when they're like trying to like figure their life out, it's around fear. Like why they're not getting past the thing that like, okay, I'm not able to do this because that person has it, or I'm in such a different position. You're creating all these fears that are holding you, and you're allowing them to hold you. And again, we're talking about the same concept.
Yeah.
I think you got to not be a loser to say, okay, well, I'm going to go towards this anyways. It's the fear that holds people fucking
You're right.
stagnant.
No, you're right. I see it a lot. There's people around here, right, that, you know, they come to me sometime. They halfway come to me for help, right? They come to me for help, but then they try to like when they start talking to me, they start acting like this shit is better than what it is, and I just kind of shut down. Like, okay, well, you good. You don't need.
Most people do that. Dude.
It's so
But
weird.
that's
It's bizarre.
an insecurity as well.
It's an insecurity, and people got to get. People are their own worst enemies, and when people can understand this, the world will be a lot better place. A lot of people will be successful. Whatever you do, whatever the outcome of your life is, it's because of you. Simple. Your destiny is based on the decisions that you make or that you don't make.
Yeah.
If you have heaven, you created it. If you have hell, it's because of your
Let's
actions.
take it further. So you're absolutely right. I think though the people need more clarification. And what I want to get at is this: the fear concept, okay, and in relationship to ego,
Right.
And we all do things that, you know, are not good for us, but we think they're good for us because our ego, because we're afraid to do that thing. So we create all these excuses in our mind, whether it's consciously, you're saying it and you're hearing it, or subconsciously, it's happening anyways. The energy, the thing that you're bringing into your life is largely what your life becomes. So I think we could say all these like a little bit higher level things like don't be a pussy, don't be a loser. But we have to identify what's really happening and how these things are creating themselves, right? And I think it is, I know it is. It's the conscious and the subconscious, and we're afraid. And so we're setting up these sort of barriers that are going like, well, I'm not this, so I can't be that. And same thing with like in relationships. You were hurt in your past relationship, so you create a barrier, whether you're so conscious of it or not that you're doing it, like verbally, you can hear that little voice in your mind, or it's just happening because you've done it for so many years. It's like going after that part of yourself, that ego, in relationship to everything else, and saying, okay, this is where I'm at. What do I really want? Am I willing to like start to retrain my thought? Because I don't think people recognize or realize enough how real the words and the things that we say to ourselves
100%.
every single fucking day are so important. Like if I say, you know, I want a relationship, but man, every girl is like this and everyone's like that. And I'm creating these barriers, and that
reality.
spell is becoming my reality. And
That's
I'm not.
it. It's a spell.
Exactly.
It's a magical spell. I talk about this a lot. I also talk about this like in my community, and this is not a plug, right? I'm giving game right now. One of the big tactics that
was a nice plug, by the way.
I ask them to employ is the tactic of visualization.
Yeah.
Right? First, I teach them how words are literally magical spells. It's not the shit you see on the movies.
What do they call it? Spelling, you know?
It's a spell. You're spelling a word. It's a spell, right? Like, if I come in, I ain't seen you in a minute. Let's say you've been struggling with the gym shit, right? Like, damn, bro, I see you kind of rocking up. Like, you kind of getting swole. That's going to make you, I casted a spell on you, a small positive spell, right? But the most effective spells that we could cast are on ourselves, the things that we tell ourselves over and over and over, right? It's so real. I said, my brother, I say, hey, check this out, boom. I sent you my life, right? Because I write my life out, all right? Every year it has to change. It has to elevate. So I write it out specifically, very vividly, right? And you share it with somebody that you respect, that you trust. And the whole premise of it is this. You look at it every morning. I do my morning prayers and I look at my life. I read it. And then I sit for about 5-10 minutes and I visualize that shit vividly. Everything starts in the mind. And then you got to write it out. No one built any mega incredible structure, but just thinking about it and that's it. They thought about it, they wrote it out. And then you align your actions with what you wrote, with your plan, with your desires for yourself, right? Or your desires for whatever that thing that you've created is. Why would you not do that for your life, right? It starts there. You are not going to have the dream life that you want by accident.
Right.
So for me, there's times in my life that I did this visualization process by accident. Like I was just writing shit out, right? I didn't have a plan. I didn't know that works.
Yeah.
I put that book away. A year later, I'm moving. I found that book. I'm like, oh shit. Everything that I wrote down happened.
Yeah, you know, I wrote down when I was a child, like a literal child, that I was gonna have a house with like 2 pit bulls and a pool.
Yeah.
And where are we? And I'm talking about as a child. I'm talking about as I think I was like 10 or 12 years old.
That shit is real, bro.
But I didn't know I was doing it. But the reason why I'm saying this is I just want to make it known to the audience. I want people listening to understand that like all the words that you tell yourself, you repeat yourself every day.
It's a spell.
And even the things that are going through your subconscious based on whatever past traumas, you need to start to recognize those things to shift that language within yourself to actually get to not being a fucking loser anymore. Because all those things can be so overwhelming. You don't even understand it. You're not even, if it's in your subconscious, it's not even like out here in the world all the time. It's just like happening because it's been such a part of your psyche for so long.
Let me add on to that, what you're saying, because I'm a type of person that I might think something anecdotally, I'm like, damn, this makes sense. But I'm gonna do some research to see if there's actual evidence to support it. And what we're talking about, there is. So we all have what's called the conscious and the subconscious mind, right? Here's the thing. What you put in your subconscious mind, it doesn't differentiate truth from falseness, right? It just tries to make it happen. Now, there are studies on, there's incidents of this, of women either lying about being pregnant or wanting to be pregnant or whatever. That desire is so strong in their subconscious mind that they have what's called a phantom pregnancy. So their subconscious mind makes that shit happen. They're not pregnant, but they start having prenatal symptoms, lactating, dilation, whatever, right?
That's how real it becomes.
That's how real it becomes, because that's how powerful the human mind is. So we have to put that shit to work. But far too often, people are putting negative shit in their subconscious mind. When people be like, oh, I'm stupid, I'm like, why would you say that? Why would you say that about yourself?
Yeah.
I would never say nothing negative about me. I don't get sick. It's a fact, right? I don't lose, right? I'm a winner at life. When I say these things, I got to actualize that shit, though.
You know what's funny? It's going to sound so silly, but when I was like, I had to be 12 to 16, 17 years old, I would play Xbox every day, Halo. I would play these video games every day online with my buddies. And the thing that I would constantly repeat all the time, I'm the best.
Yeah.
Because I was so good.
Yeah.
But he felt like he was so good, and he would say, nah, fuck you, I'm the best. I'd be like, nah, no one's better than me. And I just remember, I must have said this fucking, like literally out loud a million times over the course of like 6 years.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, bro, I think that translated to the rest of my life.
It does.
Like it has to have.
Why would it not?
It had to. Like, there's no doubt.
You gotta have a victory mindset. 100%. Anything I won in life is because beforehand I was thinking about the celebration of what I'm gonna do after I win. So I went into it a victor already. And I think most people, we keep saying the word loser, most people go into life as a loser. And then they try to figure out how to win. You gotta go in as a winner, right? And you respond differently. You move differently, because then you do the exact thing because you got to make a shift. Like, as they just said that they found evidence based on these quantum computers, we live in multiple universes, right? But the idea is that every decision you make is a different universe. We have days where it feels like we living on top of the world, right? Your body, your energy, you in flow mode. Everything goes right for you. But then how come you can't live the rest of your life like that? There's a universe where that person continues to live like that for the rest of their lives and the rest of their days until they die. But the problem is we emotional. So we go through shifts throughout the day. Some days we feel sad, some days we feel happy, right? And the difference between very successful people is not that they're supremely intelligent. is their ability to go through failure and success with the same energy, right? Meaning that you stay the same person regardless of what happens. So if we talking about spelling, when you spell something, you write down characters known as letters or numbers, right? But when you look at a character, it's a symbol. A symbol is something that is trained with energy in it, right? That taps into your subconscious. I look at the word LA. You can't tell a symbol no, right? You can become such a character in life that no matter what you do, that character will always has his own atmosphere, his own energy that it emanates. Michael Jordan is a symbol of winning, right? Mayweather is a symbol of winning, right? So you go win, right? Because that's the way the world sees you and that's the way you see yourself. So yeah, everything that we talking about is key. That's why if you have a compelling goal, you write it down for sure. So you can even measure that. But then writing it down inscribes it in your own self, right? It's called the 4-corner contract. When you put something on paper, it's 4 corners, it locks it in. You know what I'm saying? But we do so many things digital, it's not the same as writing it down on physical paper, which is why it's not the same as actually reading, right? When you read something, it decreases your stress levels. And as a man, you have to also be in low levels of stress so that you can help increase that testosterone, which is that molecule of willfulness that makes you want to exact and get your right done in reality. Like only a slave is not willful, right? Somebody that is masterful, they want to curate their life for themselves. I determine my language. I determine my time. I determine my mind. Everything is all dependent upon me, nothing else. At any point in time, I can decide whether the world ends or I can decide we go into a new shift. That type of thinking is when you see a man, you watch the old videos and they be like, I reign from the House of Lords. I'm this type. Like they speaking positive with pride. Today we
speak from power.
Yeah, from a loser perspective.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm from Oakland. When I say that, I'm saying it like, bro, I'm telling you, I'm from home of the Panthers, the Bay. You know, I'm talking about like when I say I'm Muslim, it's because I'm telling you who I am and I'm evoking that. There's not a lot of evocation in the tongue when young men speak today because they don't have belief in their father, right? And that's where belief in God becomes right, that key that you can utilize to be like, nah, man, I'm my father's son. I'm God's son. If I'm like my father, then I'm a baby God as well. Then I can do what I want.
This is why I say I'm a God. Now, here's the thing. Here's what the issue is. Friedrich Nietzsche, he wrote about morality, right? And he wrote about this master morality and this slave morality. And this is the problem. We have a society in which the masters, most masters, they're not all righteous, right?
I'm glad you're going here. This is what I want to talk about.
So they're implementing a slave morality on the people.
100%.
And this is what that means. People tethering themselves to suffering, to being downtrodden, to being broken, right? Listen, and people will say to me like, but Mike, but your ancestors were slaves. Like, bro, that's one small portion of my history, right?
They go skip the inventors,
they skipping a lot, but we could talk about that. We could talk about that. That was a circumstance that happened at one period of time, and we got up out of that shit, right? And we got stronger and stronger, right? So that was a circumstance. That was not a reality. I'll never call a person a slave. I say people that were under the condition of slavery, right? That was a condition that was temporary. We don't revel in that shit. That shit is gone. And it wasn't me, it was my ancestors, but that shit is gone. So people are programmed to have a slave morality. So they'll look at you. That's why like bullshit like this is not a Christian concept. This is infused in a culture of Christianity. It's easier for a rich man to go to heaven than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Fuck out of here with that shit. Or the meek shall inherit the earth. Now, these things are translated weird as fuck, for one. But for two, y'all are running with this meek shall inherit the earth shit is not true. The meek is going to work for the rich. You feel me? So, but this is something that people are holding on to. You know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to like being, look, a person who embodies a slave morality, they don't stand for anything. They stand against everything. They stand against the powerful people, the rich people, the smart people, the whatever, right? When in reality, your biggest gift, the biggest attribute that anyone can have is being in motion, is doing shit, right? So they're not doing anything but complaining. You feel me? Look, intellect, you could be the smartest person in the world, But if you ain't doing shit, nothing happens, right? Life does not reward that. Life rewards action. You feel me? So these people with this slave morality is negative, is high levels of cortisol, is all of the things. It's stress, it's depression. These are decisions that people are putting on themselves, and it's keeping them stuck. And the world, look, all right, motherfucker, the world's gonna keep going. Nobody gives a fuck about what you went through today. Nobody cares that you had a bad day or you wanna go take a SSRI and make shit worse. You feel me? A lady tried to really argue with me, a lady that's a psychologist, because I said that depression is a decision. She said that's a dangerous message to be telling people. I said, ma'am, your message is dangerous because you're telling people to get on drugs. These people, most of these people just had bad days, got fired, wife left them, whatever the fuck. There's a reason that happened. Figure out that reason and fix it. You ain't got time to be depressed. But she tried to say, you're dangerous. I'm like, wow. This is a person who she teaches psychology or some shit at the school that she went to. So you have she said, I'm not qualified to speak on these things. I said, actually, you're not qualified. You've been at this school for 6-7 years, and then you graduate and you work there.
Yeah.
You are being paid to teach what you've been taught. Where's your life experiences? I'm not going to tell you my qualifications. It'll spin your fucking head, man.
Well, that's what it gets interesting. It's like there's so much overarching, like, in our society now of like how people should be taught or shouldn't be taught. And it's just like, we're just finding ourselves in a weird cycle of fucking bullshit.
People don't look at the bottom line because this person is in academia, right? So people like her feel like they have the authority and the right to speak on certain things and others don't. But you don't. You're programmed with some information, and science is not even exact. A real scientist wants to be proven wrong so he can advance his field of study. They're not arrogant with information.
Right.
They're waiting for that next breakthrough so they can be like, wow, now we can go this far.
Which is also still just perspective, not to cut your wisdom, but it's even with, it's Western medicine and there's Eastern, right? Mm-hmm. And in Western society, we act like Eastern perspective don't exist, right? So now you see like a lot of people, they starting to do ayahuasca and toad medicine. That's more so from a shaman, Native American, indigenous perspective, or even Eastern medicine, right? That you are the medicine versus you having to take a bunch of pills. So a lot of those who come from this Freudian, this psycho, analysis of things, number one, that particular knowledge is not customized to the individual, right? So I couldn't tell you, Freud could not have analyzed somebody with my psyche and then made his analysis around that. So giving me those general reductions from that knowledge set doesn't make sense for me to take that from myself, right? Especially during a time where that nigga was a cokehead, number one. And a lot of them scientists and a lot of them psychologists were doing all kind of drugs, figuring things out. But the reality of it is that, in my community, unfortunately, we have like the worst statistics, right? In a lot of categories, from drug abuse, from...
talking about the Black community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just the handsome Black community.
I was making sure you weren't talking about like your audience or the people that you're.
Yeah. I'm talking about the diaspora. So as a Black man in America, so a lot of people will look at that, and somebody trying to diagnose that from the outside won't know what the hell they talking about. Not unless you understand the history, right? Specifically, let's just say the last 100 years. Like, we can go into anything else after that. But the history over the last 100 years of the ripple effects of things that created that. Like, why isn't your father in the household? How do you see yourself? You know what I mean? How does the world see you? And how does that weigh upon you, right? How does your generational financial circumstances dictate, right, your reality? And all of those things are very nuanced. So as a Black man in America, I have one of the greatest perspectives to teach another Black man how to get out their situation. It's not going to be some, white psychologist with a degree because they went to Harvard or Oxford or wherever they went to.
Or it's probably not going to be me. Maybe, I don't know.
It might not. Yeah. Or it might, depending on if that person can gravitate to the same ethnic background as you, right? Because I also look at not just race, but ethnicity. Right? You're talking about geographical location. You're talking about a person's beliefs. You're talking about their values. That, to me, I think is a greater framework, right, for one connecting with another person, whether they have the same ethnic background versus just racial background. Right, because race can a lot of times fool people. There's a lot of people who can look like me, but you won't think like me, and definitely won't have the same lived experiences. So this is why talk therapy don't always work for Black men. You know what I mean? Like, as people who come from the roots of very indigenous people, native people, people who were, you know, connected to the land and needs to be in harmony with nature, I prescribe you to go outside, right? I prescribe you to spend time in nature. Right?
But don't you think
Then think about your circumstances.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Don't you think all people come from that to an extent? Like, for 100%, we all come from some sort of indigenous. Yeah, like we're all.
Well, I mean, depending on how far you go back.
That's what I'm saying. No, yeah. But no, all of us, like, realistically, like the most basic stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the primitive level of, if we're going back to being a human being.
Exactly.
Right? If you look at the Hopi prophecies, they talked about that we would warm the oceans and we would destroy the land, right, for capitalism and technological uses, and to where we destroy the world. Like, America is not a place where you're in harmony with nature at all, right? We don't have any of that, right? We look at the gross domestic product of our country and say this is a great nation versus the quality of living, right, of its people to determine whether it's great. In the future, it's going to be based on whether the people have a great quality of living, not whether we're just an economic superpower. Because psychologically, we're depressed, we're fat, we're over suicidal, right? We're violent. There's terrorist attacks every other week. So there has to be something wrong with the framework and the psychology of the people. And it doesn't seem to be the elite trying to utilize technology to solve problems to create a better quality of living. So in some of these things, yes, there's the individual life that you take ownership of. Then there's the collective. Like, nobody, I might ask you, like, how was your year last year? But we're not going to say collectively as a people, how was our year? As a humanity, as a society, how did we do last year? Because then you go look at these themes, right, that are nihilistic by nature. Like, we have financial nihilism now where people look at the system as rigged. So they go into gambling. Right? Or we're going to go into crypto because we want to find another system if this system is not working and it's going out. But this financial nihilism continues to spread, right? And then it becomes pervasive in other aspects of our lives where we just feel like, man, if they got robots and they suppressing wages and they trying to go to Mars, we're going to be stuck on Earth. And then the atmosphere is polluted and there's fires everywhere and people are dying, then what do? And y'all telling me go get a job and work out and I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah, you're right.
But it is a little more complicated than that. Like, something has to shift in the consciousness of human beings to where we have a planet that we live in harmony with. And it has to go beyond the way we see ourselves and our abilities to make money.
Do you think that we're past that point? Now, obviously, I believe that we can always come back to that point and have like an actual synergy of like all humans.
Right.
But it feels as though like we're at a point where there's so much power held in certain positions that it's insurmountable in some ways.
Unfortunately, it appears that we're in a place in which there needs to be a great filter.
Yeah, because it's
some form of a reset.
It's like religion versus religion, black versus white. Right. It's
everything.
White versus Indian, white versus Jewish. Yeah, it's crazy out there.
And the real issue though is the powerful and the not so powerful, right?
Yeah.
And certain people of power dividing everybody and implementing fear in everybody and implementing all of these, keeping people separate, right? So people have no power individually. We have power collectively, but collective is not even in the mindset of nobody out here, right? And no, I don't think that we're in a place to where we can get to that. It would take, we were talking about earlier, like, all right, what would we do with 80 billion, right? And what I would do with a nice chunk of mine is create the most robust, powerful propaganda machine, a righteous propaganda machine. And of course, that's my perspective of righteousness, right?
Yeah.
But it would be because propaganda inherently is not bad. It's just trying to persuade people of your position, right? So what I would do is like, I would make the things that I think are negative and destructive for humanity, like this overt this rogue form of capitalism, I would make that look. I would show that for what it really is.
So let me fuck you up real quick, right? Don't you think that's what the people who now have it were thinking at one point?
In regards to what? The propaganda?
The propaganda,
Yeah.
like why they're
It has to
doing
be
what they're
counterbalanced.
doing. They believe.
No, I don't think that they thought this was good for people.
Nah, I don't
No.
think so.
Zero.
Yeah, it's not.
But that's not the morality system. They don't regard human beings.
They don't care.
by their lives.
But
You know
this
what I
is
mean?
not sustainable.
Their will to power is based on domination and control. Extraction of resources for continuation of domination and control. It's not for human beings can flourish. Because you can create, otherwise we have regenerative farms, right, all across America.
Which we should.
I mean, we be
Right.
using nuclear fusion for productive things, not for weapons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like
this,
RFK, somebody like RFK would have already been in the government to shut down.
But
the
you guys
FBI.
are right. But at the very inception, like we're just talking about this now, like this thing moving forward, if you did it, you had the money, you were able to create it.
Yeah.
Don't you think that those people at that point thought, well, this is going to be good for everyone, so we're going to start doing this? You think they just strictly were
people
like,
like
money?
people like
Look at-
Rockefellers.
Yeah, that's
people like
Machiavellianism.
Medici. No, absolutely not.
no.
These were
They
evil
were
people.
shrewd,
I'm gonna take it all the way back.
capitalists.
I'm gonna take it all the way back. I'm gonna fuck you up now.
No, go. Yeah,
All right.
this is why I love this.
This is problematic, right?
to 'em.
First and foremost, I have no issue with Jesus Christ, with Yeshua
Shout out
of
to Jesus.
of Palestine, 'cause that would be his name, right? Of Bethlehem. But the culture of Christianity is very problematic. We can start with the book. First and foremost, the only real complete book with all of the teachings is in Ethiopia. It's called the Talmud or something like that. Talawida, that's what it's called. It's the only book with all of the original text with all of the books, right? What we have now is a book crafted and shaped by Romans and Greeks, right? And the Romans killed Jesus, so it's kind of weird that they had their hand in this. And the most recent version, the most recent canonized version is called the King James Version. And do anybody even know who King James is? Do anyone know anything about this guy, right? This guy, I believe he was a Scottish or he was somewhere from over there, but he became the King of England, right? He's trying to unify England. He was a wild homosexual. It wasn't a secret. A flaming, whatever they call him, right? Of course, he had a wife because he had to have progeny because that's how they did things, to pass on their land or whatever. But this guy was a raging homosexual. He made sodomy or homosexual acts the worst crime of his day. But he's a hypocrite because he did these things. And he took a version of the Bible that was only translated from Greece because he was a fan of Greek and Roman culture, obviously, because of his lifestyle, the poetry and all of that shit. And that's what he based
the poetry.
Yeah, that's what he
Poetry.
based. That's what he based this translation off of.
lovers.
He's a same sex type of cousin.
This
kisser.
could all be verified.
This is a fact.
Yeah.
Everybody think you could Google King James. Was he gay? You know what I'm saying? But not only that, but it was a political agenda in which why he implemented certain things
Mike
in
the
this
best buddy
his version
storyteller.
of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? All right. So look, everyone's basing everything on that, right? Now, it's problematic. I'm gonna tell you why. The people who killed Jesus, right? First and foremost, ask why did they kill Jesus, right? Who killed Jesus? The Jews wanted him dead, so they went to Pontius Pilate, who was the emperor of Rome, and Rome was occupying Palestine at the time because that's where they lived at.
Yeah.
And he got them to execute. The Jews got the Romans to execute Jesus, for being a heretic, right? Because he's claiming he was God, telling people that they're gods and children of God and all of that stuff. It was defying the Jewish Pharisees of that time. He was against the monetization of spirituality, right? Taxation, all of that stuff. He was against all of these things, right? He was telling them straight up, like, y'all, my God is not your God. He said, your God is the devil. You feel me? So they had him killed. The same people that killed him for political reasons, because when you killed him, you created a martyr. His movement started going crazy. You amplified his voice, right? So they were like, you know what? Constantine was like, we're going to have to convert our people to Christianity, right? but we're going to keep all of our shit the same. None of which have anything to do with Jesus or anything that he's talking about. Easter, Christmas, all of these things, right? Very problematic. Easter bunny, what are you talking about? Anyway, so this man, through the Roman Catholic Church, and just to be clear, Christianity is like saying basketball, and then Catholicism is a team, right? But it's the biggest, most robust team there is, and there's only a few teams, right? So they were responsible for spreading Christianity throughout the world. Well, how did they spread it?
I love how you explain this in basketball terms. That like just comment.
Right.
It's
how
great.
did they spread it? Very problematic. They spread it through papal bulls. So the Pope was the guy, the king of the world, right, back then. So he would give these religious decrees, these blessings. It was three major ones. One was to go into North America to subjugate the natives here. If they don't convert, it's okay. You can take their land and enslave them.
The doctrine of discovery.
Right? One was to go into Africa, same thing. And one was to their own people all throughout Europe, the Inquisitions, right? They were burning human beings alive. Does that sound like anything of Jesus?
Yeah, no, it's
that's satanic. That's a human sacrifice.
If you're not with us, we're gonna kill you, basically.
Right, exactly. So and you're going to people who don't even speak your language. You feel me? You're going to get they were targeting women for having opinions,
So that's
for
how
being
they
problematic.
justify conquering lands.
This is a religious thing, right? Modern day, LA, they just paid out like the Los Angeles diocese, which is the church thing. They had to pay out hundreds of millions of dollars to all of these men that these high figures within the papacy was taken advantage of sexually. New York, the same. It's happening all over the place. Very problematic. And then people are holding so firm to this book that most, and people that look like me wouldn't even know about this book if it wasn't for their slave masters. Take this shit. You can't read nothing but this book. You feel me? So it's very problematic, and unfortunately, a lot of my people are tethered to that book because they were programmed that shit since birth. And you just don't question. The way that religion is taught to people is scary. You're going to burn in that. Look, my mother said, you see that fire on the stove? I said, yes. The blue part at the bottom? She said, yeah. She said, that's 100 times hotter than the rest. That's what hell's like. I'm like, oh shit. You feel me? Like
When you were a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid. That shit was terrifying.
Yeah.
You feel me? So people are terrified by fables, by systems of fear and control. If you read Jesus' teachings, it wasn't intimidating. It wasn't like, I'll burn you up. You know what I mean? I'm going to kill you or whatever. There's a vengeful God in the Bible, in the Old Testament. And people think that that's just God. People don't read. That's the problem. There's so many gods in the Bible and people don't read shit because they think it's one God in the Bible. No. Religious figures have told you that so you don't think outside of what they want you to know, right? But that particular God was vengeful. He would wipe out whole civilizations for one person's sin. He took Job, this poor guy. He had a deal with the devil. Like the devil, like, I could take it. I can get him on my side. He's like, no, you can't. Try it. And he let the devil, according to the story, take this man's business, his family, everything, just so he can stay faithful to me. What kind of, fuck that guy. Fuck that God. You feel me? Would you be okay with that God?
I mean,
Test you, just to test you? You ain't even getting none out of it. Like, you know what? Oh, he stayed faithful. I'm gonna give him $1 billion. None of that.
I mean, this is, if I'm talking personally, when I hear this,
You'd say, fuck that guy.
well, this is what made me have such a hard time with just the idea of religion in general. I felt when I was a kid, I grew up largely, majority Catholicism. I went to school for this. I'm showing up to Sunday, going to church, kneeling, doing the pews, like fucking reading the missal, all this kind of stuff, right? And I got kind of like my feeling towards it started to rescind as I got older because I was like, I didn't understand why certain things were happening. Also, I felt in so many ways for myself, like why did my life happen? Because I grew up the way I grew up without a father. My father died of suicide. All these things that like made me kind of like take step backs and be like, well, this doesn't feel right the way that I'm being taught this. Obviously, my personal circumstances don't really have so much to do with God in general, but it made me question all these things. And the thing that you're speaking to that I always found so interesting, and I kind of just was like, I felt like did they create religions? And then, but then I also went back on this. I was like, were religions created so that it was just like it was almost like, not to bring it to like COVID or to some sort of pandemic, but it's like the first form of control, like the very original form of control.
I'll give you an example. Let's go to the Garden of Eden. Let's go to Adam and Eve and the apple and the serpent, right? Let's go to don't eat of that tree or you'll die, right? But when they ate of that tree, what happened? They were conscious. They were aware that they didn't have any clothes on. You feel me? So that was a form of control right there. You understand what I'm saying? Look, people are afraid to question these things, right? And look, the Bible doesn't have footnotes. It doesn't say, hey, this is the righteous God trying to help these two humans from harming themselves, right? It doesn't say that. But this is what this is what the culture have been teaching people over the years.
But
that they're disobedient.
Not to cut your wisdom, but that could be looked at in multiple ways as well, though. Because the idea, the original sin being disobedience, meaning that man focus on his will, right? Meaning that you got free will. You can do whatever you want to. Mm-hmm. But we've all made the choices that we sometimes wish we didn't make. Okay. Because sometimes you don't have rules and restrictions that you can live by. Like religion in its essence is just man's connection with the divine. So anything can be a religion, if you will. That's how it was. We look at religion as institutionalized religions today. And now we look at the history of those institutionalized religions.
This is what I'm really speaking to, yeah.
Right? Well, the history of institutional Christianity is not a friend to us.
But any religion can be used by man to manipulate the people, especially 100%. If the people don't understand it for themselves. Mm-hmm. Like I was always taught, a good Christian is a good Muslim is a good Christian. Because if you follow the golden rule and tenets of Christianity or Jesus, then you're a person that lives a really good, righteous life.
That is an Islamic life. Yeah.
But in today's sense, you see religion being utilized by elite to create divisiveness between the people. You know what I'm saying? Not that it's used to try to create more harmony and righteousness within the world, right? Because then if those people collectively were righteous, then they'd be like, wait a minute, these niggas is the problems. You feel me? Like they the ones that's unrighteous. They the ones that's destroying the earth and creating, this type of media and Hollywood and debauchery. And they the ones that create the circus that Jesus was against. So for me, it's a consciousness that's represented within a people when it's crystallized at a level of righteousness that you live throughout life, where you see wrong and you point it out and you correct it, right? Where you seek truth and you point that out. Like even the way you frame the context of Adam and Eve, right? Realizing that they're naked, right? It's like if you go to a tribe and the people are living in harmony and they're not lusting at each other, and those eyes are not looking at breasts as, that's something I gotta have, to where you're now inclined by your lustful nature to act off that lust. That creates crime. That creates issues, right? Because sin in Hebrew means to be off target. So when man stopped living according to his nature, he was off target. Then you can go like Aleister Crowley, do as thou wilt, right? Which is more satanic, meaning that you're more so controlled then by lower nature, right? There's a lot of people who went into spirituality, but they didn't have any rules. So they ended up being somewhere at ayahuasca in the sex cult trying to figure out their life. And then they like, wait a minute, I need to have some kind of boundaries because I'm going a little too far. Mm-hmm. So that's when you construct a religion for yourself. Mm-hmm. Like I want to stay in connection with the divine, but how do I have rules for that Godhead? Because man is immensely powerful. So we have to give ourselves boundaries. Otherwise we just do whatever we think of. Because we have, like, unlike animals, we have an imagination. We can imagine things and then go live it out. And in that imagination, it's like we lived it and it felt good and like, I want to go do that. That can be dangerous. So I would look at the essence of religion, not all of the new constructs and filtered out versions. And like even in Islam, they call it Hislam. If there's somebody utilizing it for their way, right? And we see this in a lot of Arab countries. Like they can go far, over polarized with things, right? Mm-hmm. We can obviously see that with the Catholic Church. It's essentially a pedo ring that we just don't question, and they get to govern themselves because they have a sovereign state, right? But we also see that in media, right? Everybody talks about how there is centralized control power of media and banking industries and things of that nature, and that has turned the people essentially into cattle. But all these people have their own religion, right? And so if we get into the essence of it, right, God's religion is truth, right, and righteousness. And as a righteous human being, then you don't want to get over on your brother. I want to treat my brother as I treat myself. That's my neighbor. I want my brother to live in
golden
harmony.
rule.
I'm with you. What I'm talking about is the institution of religion.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
what
100%.
that is the framework in which people have been living under and operating under for 3,000 years.
Institutionalized religion is an entity of control.
That's problematic. That's all I'm saying, right? So the people who killed Jesus, the ones who put the order on, was the Jews, right? They say, because he said, "Oh, he's the king of the Jews," right? Jesus was a righteous man. We can all agree to that, right? Whether
a
he
militant,
was,
righteous, radical man.
correct. Well, I don't think he's radical, but they would consider him radical, right? Yeah. So, and then you have to look at institutions and systems of religion, right? Religion inherently, like you said, is not bad. It should be good. It's guidelines, right? But certain institutions are not good for society, okay? And I happen to fall under the category of thinking that, and say, for instance, Jewish people, right? To be Jewish is to follow the laws and the commandments of the Torah, what Moses brought forth, right? Righteous, okay? But how a lot of people are operating is not righteous, okay? It's not. They do have footnotes. They do have Talmuds with some strange problematic rules, right? Or we can do this, but, to them, right? Certain things. And these are the people who killed Jesus. We don't get to talk about that. You feel me? And then you have now the society that we live in now, we have people who are not even religious saying they're Jewish. People who are atheists. I see this shit all the time because they try to talk shit to me because of my position on certain things. And I go to their page, I'm like, but how are you an atheist and Jewish?
Yeah.
Right? And to the people that are Jewish that's listening to this that might feel triggered, I mean not to trigger you. I'm on your side. If you are a religious Jewish person that is living by the Torah, I fucks with you. I'm with you. But there's people waving your flag that are not of you. You feel me? These people are saying that they're atheists. Matter of fact, the people that created Zionism didn't believe in God. But this is under the flag of Judaism. Jesus said he called certain people, certain factions under that Jewish flag. He says that's not real Judaism. That's the synagogue of Satan. Jesus said that, right? I didn't say that. Jesus said that. He's pointing out, no, there's bad people in your ranks. There's agents in your ranks. Get them out of here. But you can't have those kind of conversations.
This was written.
Yeah. Somebody, he like Jamie, like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Can you pull up Bible verse?
I love how Joe Rogan's podcast is like everyone knows.
That's the standard, yeah.
Jamie, young Jamie's the man, by the way. He's a
Synagogue
good friend of
Satan.
mine.
Or put Jesus, you put Bible, but Jesus, put Synagogue of Satan. That's cool. You should put like perplexity to get real deep searches. Passage from Revelation. And to the angel of the church in Smyrna, right? I can't see that shit. I can't see that far.
Yeah.
Which one you trying to read?
Whichever.
This one, Revelation 3:7. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia, right? I know your works. Look, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. I know that you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. I will make those of the synagogue of Satan, who say that they are Jews and are not, but are lying.
They're lying.
I will make them come and bow down before your feet, and they will learn that I have loved you.
He said, they say they're Jews, but they're not. We can't talk about that, though.
Why do you think we can't talk about it?
Because the ones that say they're Jews and they're not, they got a lot of power, and they'll come shut you down. You feel me? They'll put you on a list, an ADL list, saying you're an anti-Semite, and you're a racist, and all of these things. Like, no, I'm not talking about all Jews. I'm talking about you. You happen to call yourself a Jew.
And if you look at it, every group of people has this within. Like
Correct.
we have a Black Boule. You know what I mean? They are secret societies and organizations that are considering themselves of this elite class, right? It was started by like this Greek elite class, right?
They're infiltrated Black colleges.
Yes, there are white elites. There are 1%. They don't care nothing about you and nobody else. They see them as just sheep and cattle for them to move around, right? As a mass population of people that are human capital. That's it. They don't care about the daily lives. They They control the algorithms, right? They could, like, if you talk about religion, then you could talk about pharmaceutical companies as institutions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Then you could talk about all of social media companies as an institution, right? These are all the same things. Now it used to be just Islam and Christianity and Hebrew.
They used to be the
but now
only powerful
we
institutions.
have tech institutions that play God in this world.
Elon Musk.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And look at Elon controls satellites, right? He controls. At first, it was just the broadband cords going through the waters. Now he got the robots, the cars, the
Neuralink
social
coming
media,
soon.
the Neuralink. Like, and it's funny because Elon is probably the smoothest criminal ever.
I love Elon. Fuck.
Elon would be in the streets.
I love him.
It's just simple. He'd be in the streets with the people pointing at the elites.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy?
The streets of Twitter.
You know what's crazy? Wasn't he like shitting on Diddy recently? Elon?
He has, and he pushes. Yeah,
That's weird because we all sat together at Dave Chappelle's show. You remember when he got stabbed?
Who?
Dave Chappelle, where they tried to stab him.
Yeah,
We were there. We sat in the box with Diddy, Gunna, Elon. A good brother of mine, he had got us seats, right? But he was like, "Oh, Diddy's coming with Elon, so you got your seats, but y'all sit right behind him." They hang out. They kick it. It's like, why you shitting on your guy now? Why you shitting on your guy now?
It's a psychological tactic. It's called scapegoating. That you get the people to focus on like celebrities.
Well, so you saw that
public
yourself.
figures.
We sat there for 3
Your
hours.
eyes.
3 hours. We sat there chilling.
Okay.
What was they talking about?
No, it was laughing. It was dope. But they went to Diddy house after. I didn't want to go.
It's
I didn't
called
wanna go.
scapegoating. No, the people obviously know celebrities don't control your laws. They're not the reason for economic inequality. They're not the reason for these algorithms. They're not the reason for the vaccine, right?
Now they are though.
But no, they still not the reason,
Elon.
because they just babies in this shit. They not the ones behind the scenes that control it. But scapegoating is when you look to like public figures and celebrities and make them the villain because they the closest to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So whoever's the closest is who you go after, because you don't know the name of a pharmaceutical giant. You don't know this elite that lives on this small little farm but controls 80% of an industry.
You don't
know how to blame them.
You don't know the conglomerate that Diddy went to war with right before all of this shit happened. Why he's getting beat up right now.
Because being radical just means getting to the root of something. So anytime somebody get to the root of something, that's considered to be radical. Why would we stop at a pawn when you can get to the king? Right? But if you're an elite and you're very smart and you do have a public facing figure, then of course you're going to get with the people, and wherever they point, you're going to be like, yo, look at them, they doing wrong. So nobody looks at you and be like, all right, what is your power over these
That's
things?
problematic.
Of course.
And look, I like Elon to a degree, but when I seen him shitting on Diddy, I'm like, bro, come on.
Well, I just think that he uses his
I-
vast platform to be divisive. Like he would, it doesn't make any sense that if you are one of the richest men in the world, right, and have that much power, then all your power should be used to create collective harmony.
Correct.
Right?
Do you think there is? Do you think? I think the answer is going to be yes. There is some good that he does in calling or pointing out certain things.
Yeah, there's always you. If you're good at what you do, you're gonna mix truth in there for sure. Right? You can never just have only your agenda. But it's to the point, it's not even something that I think. It's more so a common sense thing. You ask yourself, right, which elites do you align with? Which is basically what the people are saying. They believe that there is a syndicate of elites that are for them, even though this is an average Joe and Bob. But what really is, there's globalism and there's nationalism. During this time, people are seeking religion. They're seeking identity, right? So they can have something that they can control and something that they're a part of, right? We are at the tail end of like an American empire. Donald Trump wants to bring it back to a golden age, right? He talks about creating a Gulf of America and taking over Canada and making them the 51st
Greenland.
state and buying in a new Green Deal with Greenland, right?
Hilarious.
But it's not something that I'm looking at as my opinion. I'm looking at it as a common sense thing. It's something that the people have to ask themselves a question. Who are this so-called good and bad elite, right? What do they do, right? If you were in their position, what would you do, right? If you had the power, what would you do? And in their position, in order for you to not see them as a problem, what would they need to do? So it's not something that 19 Keys is saying. I think the average person doesn't have the ability to analyze reality correctly, right? You obviously have the ability to see things. You can favor somebody and then be like, okay, I still know he be doing some wild stuff, right?
For sure.
But I favor this part because, well, this kind of aligns with me, right? I do kind of want the world to shift over here to this. But that don't mean that I'm going to ignore the rest of everything that you could be doing or you are doing.
Or be surprised when he really show his
exactly.
hand, you know?
And I think that the people have to, you know, as a collective, anytime you're talking to the people, it's almost wasteful, right? You're really talking to leaders that have influence over the people because those are the ones that's going to get played. They are the ones that think they elite because they can get invited to a party or a circle. Right. But in reality, they're being used because if you were in that position, wouldn't you use them?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like, I'm going to keep them close and I'm going to use their channels of influence so they never turn it on me.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, all of that. If
you go give the people AI, vast computing power, right? Where you got, you know, NVIDIA giving people supercomputer, right? If you're going to give them all of these things, you first have to make sure that they're not going to do anything radical or dangerous with it. So you have to set them up to a point where you have them in control. So they're only going to use it for things that you are in line with. So you have to understand the system is being set up for an end game. But what is that end game? We pour all these money into currencies, but what world is it building? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We used to care about liberties and freedoms. We don't care now. We could have drones flying over our head and not care about our airspace. They can tell you that they can control your car and they can see everything about your life and control your privacy. We have no questioning about AI and data gravity or quantum computer use and how it's being used to simulate and control people. After 9/11, people just gave up.
It seems that way.
Just gave up. We used to actually care about privacy.
Well,
we just gave up.
It's too many. You're being bombarded with information.
So
here we have Senate hearings every day about UFOs and non-human biologicals. But all right, Diddy trial.
No, yeah, I mean, this degradation is taking a long time. Well, not really even that long, but it's just little thing after little thing after little thing, and then people are becoming numb to it. So I guess the to bring it back, because obviously all these topics are like somewhat insurmountable. We can't just go change them tomorrow. Yeah. How do you guys think, and you know, we could all add to this, but the individual person, I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier about what thoughts, what are you telling yourself? How do you truly feel about yourself in whatever direction you're going? Like, that's the thing you have to be able to control. Now, there is this overarching, like, okay, this thing is also here. How do you combat that? How do you fight against that? But you almost can't even do that yet until you do it here. And so that's the thing. I'm not trying to teach. I'm not a fucking teacher. I'm just a person who talks because I've lived a life and I'm just saying things that I know or that I think are right.
But you do gravitate towards things that are meaningful and good for people.
It's weird because I don't think I have a choice.
Because I feel like that's your nature, is to be a decent human being.
Yeah.
So, and this is a beautiful thing for people who have a voice to lend their voice to things that are better for humanity, good for the average guy.
Yeah.
You feel me? So that's it. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. We need to get people up to a level, a certain collective consciousness to where we can come together. Like people can collectively come together. But as we was cracking jokes, we went to get coffee this morning and we were talking about the quantum computing, personal computers, right? And I'm like, this lady don't give a fuck about quantum computing. You know what I'm saying? We walking past people who have they're overworked with life, right? With 9 to 5, catching the bus, this, that, and the third. They're not thinking about certain things that are on a higher level that will be affecting your lives, right? They're not thinking about AI. She's thinking about catching a bus. You feel me?
Yeah.
So we need to get people out of that Maslow's hierarchy, that bottom survival level, get people up as high as possible on that pyramid. That's what we all do though, collectively, like individually and collectively. I see it. We ain't got to say like, oh, this is what we're all doing, but this is literally what we're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say be a part of something. You know, I'll be a part of a group, be a part of a community. Everybody's going to be seeking a sense of belonging, right? You need to have a surrounding that reinforces, right, your sense of self and your identity and your belief. Because what happens is a lot of people, they feel alone, right? And by themselves, they feel like they can't handle the Goliath, right? Collectively, we feel like David.
Community is important.
And I think that the bigger issue in the world is that we continue to have all these civic issues, civil issues, all of these collective identity issues that only benefit people who want to control you. And the goal is, how do you link arms, right, with the person next to you and y'all create something together?
Yeah.
Right. If we all have media, right? Media is probably is the most powerful thing. It's the most disruptive thing. Because at any point in time, you can shift the narrative, right? And that's shifting reality. So as all these men who have podcasts do, we only turn these into gossip fair podcasts, right? Or you go have fun, you go talk your shit, and you go enjoy life.
That's part of life.
But there has to be a percentage of it where, as you say, there's sometimes where you feel compelled for this responsibility to act as a leader in some influential manner, right? It's every man should be compelled to do that, especially that has a broadcast to where they can reach young minds. Because you have to know, if you're not sending them in the right direction, when you have their attention, right, and they're following you, then you have to be either distracting them or sending them in the wrong direction, right? And so either way is bad. So you're a leader, whether you want to be or not. It just depends on whether you're pointing people. Because that same hour, 2 or 3 hours that young man is spending on watching your show, they could have been doing something that was productive towards their life. Now you can turn them watching your show into something productive by putting the medicine in the candy jar, right? So making sure that while you have their attention, make sure that you're putting something poignant. Make sure you're adding a message. You can come together in your own, everybody got their little group chats. Decide what's going to be the message that you want to push this week or this month, right? And you can follow that. That can become a trend. So it's the men of America who got to stand up, because whether you white, black, Spanish, Jewish, Asian, none of the masculine men in those ethnic groups agree with the feminization of men, right? We all look at this categorically as something that's wrong, that our sons are not as willful, right? And these young men are not as strong and they don't have the mentality of grit. But we now live in how could they? They live in a fake world. This world is illusion. They're getting to the point where people are not going to be able to tell what's reality and what's illusion, right? And the world's algorithms are to grip the consciousness and to keep it there, to consume attention so that you can feed this grid, this matrix. So that means that you should be doing nature groups, right? You should be hiking. Y'all work out, I work out. You know, I'm trying, I might be surpassing y'all soon. You know what I'm talking about?
Not me. Maybe Mike. Mike's getting a little.
Give me by the end of 2025. You know what I'm talking about? Let the young man work. You know what I'm talking about?
Not us.
We got to do the workout. I'm gonna see if they can hold up to my workout standards. But I think y'all be all right. I think y'all be all right. But seriously, these are the type of things we need. We need more training camps. You know what I'm saying? We need more rites of passage, because if we being honest, it's our generation's responsibility. Government, it ain't their responsibility. Yeah, right? It ain't the corporations. The churches are not going to do it. None of those, the synagogues are not going to do it. It's about real men who consider themselves men in this time and say, I will lead the charge, right? So I think that that's probably the best thing. I love seeing the run clubs. I love seeing the fitness clubs. I love seeing people outside. I got a book club. You know what I'm saying? And that's just free for people to stimulate themselves. Take yourself out of the world, meditate, find some stillness, write down your goals, act off of them, learn how to articulate and communicate, right? Learn how to talk to women in person, not just on profiles and just little DMs, right? Learn how to build a relationship with yourself so that you become a real man, because every woman wants a real man, right? These young men they racking their brains. They studying science, trying to figure out how to talk to women. You know what I'm saying? It is not that tough.
There's people with courses, with DM courses.
It's DM ridiculous. It's getting bad out there.
It's crazy.
But when you become a man and you become a real man, and by real man, I mean you have those values, those traits. A man that knows his light and his darkness. Because a man should sit in between and wield his light and darkness. Otherwise, you become a nice guy. And the reason you finish last because you let everybody else go first, right? And you have to respect yourself to know your place, to be like, nah, I was already here. You know what I'm saying? Being nice is not good, right? Being kind and being a good man is different, but that means you still have to command respect. But you have to have
being
discipline
nice,
and self-awareness.
The culture of being nice is also part of that slave morality I was talking about.
100%.
Being humble,
Give me
being
one.
nice.
I gotta see what the fuck. My bad.
Okay,
This
good.
is distracting. All right, I had to make sure my dogs weren't fighting.
All right,
and I
they
also had to
cool?
pee.
Right.
Okay, so kind of picking up on where we were talking about what you were saying about like the hiking, like the things we could actually do. Like, what are the things we could actually do? Because I mean, we all know this, and I hope people listening know this, is like you can't truly love someone else if you don't genuinely love yourself. And I think all these things come down to that core thing, right? In order to like build a community, be a part of community, like be able to excel in community or in any of these things that we're saying, like go and do, right? So how do we as individuals, the most important starting point, do that when there's so much distraction, there's so much noise? What is the first step?
I say go into monk mode. This is like one of the great trends I like seeing people do, where you go through like a 60 to 90 day fast, right? You do a digital detox, you cut out people, right?
Dopamine fast,
You
not
cut out-
digital fast.
Yeah, you cut out all of the unnecessary things that overstimulate you, right? And in that time, you spending that, meaning that like you cut off from the world. You don't need to be a part of the world. You don't have nothing to offer. Usefulness determines value, right? So until you're useful, leave from the world, go within self. Cut out the social media, learn. Before I got on social media, you know, right, I had me a store, right? I had me an identity. I had me a sense of self. And before I dropped my first video where it went viral, I studied marketing and branding, right? And neuropsychology. And I understood those sciences of people first, so that every move was based on some science. And right now there's a lot of people that's just doing things and they trying to figure out what's gonna stick. And that can work for certain minds, but from the general 85%, they should go internal for the next, I would say 3 to 6 months. Especially there's gonna be so much going on in the world. It's all distractions. So I will go into that time and I will spend time reading. I will find me one particular subject that I want to become an expert in, and I will get a large foundation in that. Whether, you know, there's a lot of AI consultants right now, right? Whether it's that or whether you want to be a personal trainer. I think personal training, there's 50 to 60, 70% of people that are obese. So it's the most in-demand industry right now.
Yeah.
Right? If you broke, don't have no money, and you bunny, go eat some food or go work out and become disciplined and document that process over the next 6 to 9 months. Right? You're going to become a value to 50% of people who actually need you. Right? I think finding like a real compelling goal for the next 60 to 90 days, getting a workout plan, learning the science of that, studying, having reading, because in this new world, it's too digital. You need to read physical books.
Yeah.
You need to write down, right? Even keeping a journal, right? So that you can measure your self-improvement over time. I would learn how to articulate myself and communicate, because it's a number one skill. Learn how to storytell, right? You can test yourself by going out in the world and sparking conversations with people. Test your anxiety, right? Your stress that you have in different circumstances. Go to places where people don't know you. Get variety of information so that you're not just stuck in this silo of what the people around you know. Find sources that are more diverse so it changes your perspective on things, right? And then when you reemerge from this place of, this is who I am as I interact with this world. Not, I'm trying to find myself in the world. Because you don't find yourself in the world. You find yourself within.
Right. What about you, Mike?
I mean, I echo the same sentiments.
first steps, yeah.
The first steps is self. It's self, right? You can never blame anyone for your shortcomings, right? Whatever is the outcome of your life is based on you, your decisions or your indecisions. So start here, right? Trust yourself. I trust myself. You feel me? I've been in situations to where they said, sit right here. You know what I'm saying? We're going to figure this out. And I said, no, I'm going to do it myself, right? And it worked out. So I always trust myself. But you got to put yourself in, look, I'm a risk taker, right? I've always been, out of all my friend groups, I've always been the risk taker. Now, I've gotten bruised and beat up a few times in taking these risks, right?
Yeah.
But I've also had the biggest rewards out of everybody in my little circle because I've taken risks. You feel me? So I'm not afraid to live life and to live robustly, right? Look, you might, look, when I decided to fight in 2018, it's like, why would you do that? You rich. Everybody's watching you. What if you get embarrassed? Fuck it, let's go. Let's see. I'm doing it though. It take balls, right? So do things that you might be afraid to do, but fuck fear. You know what I'm saying? Be defiant at anything that will hold you back from being successful. So fear is one of those things. Matter of fact, in the action of finding yourself, there's meditation involved, right? It's sitting in silence. When you do that, you're gonna understand something. This energy we call fear, right? It's not really fear. It's just energy. If you use it and articulate it properly, it's fuel. Or if you let it use you, it's gonna like cripple you. It's gonna like just make you paralyzed. You're gonna sit there in terror. Fuck that. Ask yourself, are you a coward or are you a real one? You feel me?
Yeah.
My merch used to say, don't be a pussy.
I remember.
Alpha as fuck.
I remember.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
I was there.
Look, if I'm working out, I see this shit in the mirror, I'm like, oh, that's right.
We was there benching in
Yeah,
Long Beach.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, I missed those
You feel
days.
me? So it's like
Fuck.
embody. Do not be afraid to be a fucking man, to be masculine. Embody
Take
all
up
of
space.
embody all of the principles and characteristics of what it means to be masculine. Now I'm gonna say this: the flyest part of being a masculine man is being kind, is having a high degree of empathy, is knowing how to communicate properly, to listen, right? So, but that's the baseline. But all of the other shit, bravado, well, pop your shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the thing is, it comes down to it's all about fear and the perception of fear. And I think people are so afraid of like just making a mistake or losing or feeling heartbroken or whatever it is that they stop. But like that's the thing. I think
ain't living. If
Yeah,
you
okay.
ain't
So
living.
that's the thing we have to make sure they understand is that like that is what life is about. Like they're that
Right.
without doing the shit and
Right.
going through it, you don't get it.
That's just living.
Right. I sold my crib in October, right?
Yeah,
Cashed out. I'm about to build a crib in Dubai.
yeah.
Fuck it. Let's go. I did the calculations in my head. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm out of here, out of my comfort zone. You feel me?
Yeah, scary.
A whole new world. But see, I've been doing this kind of shit so long. It's not. It's exciting.
No, I get it.
It's exciting. But yeah, to the average person, they might see it as scary. But I always say this. I'm comfortable going in dark spaces and filling the walls and figuring shit out. I've done it all my life. See, the last time I made a big move like that, I was in trouble and I was running. You feel me? Now my life is good. You feel me? Go out and explore the world. This is a big world. Let's go. I'm not confined to America. I love America. I'm from here.
Yeah.
I got a lot of sauce from here. You feel me? But now I've extracted what I needed, what I think I can get for now. Now I'm going across the world. You feel me?
So that's the thing, right? It's like making people be okay and be comfortable with that.
Just live.
But it is not supposed to be good.
What happens
all the time?
What happens if it don't go your way? You pivot and keep going. You feel me? Listen, men gotta be, part of being a man is being a decision maker. There's no right or wrong decision. Well, what if you do make the wrong decision? It's not.
Learn from it.
I know that that's not the optimal decision, and I'll make the other one.
So then the thing we're going towards now, which is really important to talk about, is lessons.
Action. Yeah,
Actions, lessons, but learning from your lessons.
Yes.
Man, the
always,
lessons are the best part of
always.
life. I've had businesses where me and other people were together. We made millions of dollars. These people put out products that I didn't want them to put out, and they lost millions of dollars. Then I had to start all the way over, right? And then that's when I learned myself more. It wasn't through the success. It was through the failure that I learned myself, because then I had to see, am I good, or my brother Keenan say, is the machine good? Am I part of something that's good? Am I really who I say I am? Because if I am, then I should be able to start over and reach that same success again.
Correct.
And I did, right? And after that, I did multiple things. I have high-level conversations where people told me it wasn't going to work. You about to sit down for 2-3 hours and have intellectual conversations, and you think your coach will go watch that. And I'm like, yeah. Why? Because number one, it didn't even matter if it didn't work. What was more important is that I wanted to do it, right? And that if I stopped myself from doing it, it would have been because somebody else caused fear in me, and then that created inaction. And instead, it's like, no, I learned that when you have the fear, right, it's not a sign to not do it. Right? It's a sign that this is something out of your boundaries.
It's worth doing.
That you normally don't do. Now, if you want to
100%.
live your life based on exactly where it is, never go past your fears. But if you want something outside of your routine, if you want something that is a major goal, then you have to break out of that. That line is not meant to stop you. It's just showing you, all right, this is where that next level is. So I step on stages sometimes get butterflies. I don't get it no more because I think I done got them more to a professional level, but I used to, right? But that made me feel more alive than anything.
Yeah.
Because afterwards, that exhilaration
Glory.
had me activated and I was passionate about it and I felt alive. So it made me want to do that again. And then I realized, like, man, why am I allowing fear to stop me? The fear is just a sign to go live, right? And that's when courage is acting in the face of fear. So the fear can exist, but you become fearless. It's not that you don't have no fear at all, right? You fear so less that it's so minimal that it doesn't control your next move. So for me, it's you can't be afraid to start over. Can't be afraid to lose, right? You can't be afraid to win because a lot of people are afraid to win because of the responsibility that comes with success. You get that girl number, now you got to talk to her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now she got expectation about the type of man you are, right? Can you keep up that thing, right? You get a woman, she helps prove you are who you say you are, but first you need to prove that first level to yourself. So when you tell somebody who you are, that's actually you. It's not just a facade and the illusion or some game that you're trying to play. So how do you get that? You got to test yourself. You got to get some experiences. Them experiences can be small, but they let you know who you are. I still have an experience when I was a child and I was speaking on stage when I was younger. And I remember when the person next to me would forget their words and they'd choke up, I had to remember their lines just in case I had to step in. As a child, I wasn't thinking I was articulate or good or anything of that nature at all. But I remember the next day, it was this guy he was more of a bully at school, older cat, right? And I'm walking past and he stops me. He say, man, you did amazing yesterday. And I was taken aback because I'm like, this dude an asshole. He don't never tell me nothing good. But I remember that my whole life as what I call past positive proof, right? That you have these moments in life that are proof that you're good, that you're great at something. And you hold on to them because they get you to that next moment. And in those times of doubt, you remind yourself who you are. Because we can forget who we are. We can get out of our mind. And a man is his mind, right? We are talking about what is manhood, is mindhood. It's your ability to manage yourself or manage yourself. In business, it's administering your task to get to set obligation and goals. Can you manage the fears, the expectations, the worries, the doubts? Can you manage the anxiety, the stress, the heartbreak, the hurt? If you can manage that myriad of emotions and to rise above emotions into the thinking of a God, and God says being is, meaning that when you say you go do something, you get it done, right? So a man is based on his actions, his work, his ability to exert his energy and his will, his force. That's when you being a man. Those other times you being a boy, right? When you trying to depend on the world and you asking somebody, hey, give me validation. I got one of the #1 shows, and even in the black community, I don't be getting awards and things of that nature, but then I find a reason there's something wrong with them, not me. Right? So I'm not going to say, oh, well, if I don't get it, it must be something wrong. No, if I don't get it, those organizations are biased to my greatness, right? And this is where you get to steer your ego as well so you can control the narrative that's in your head. Otherwise, it will have you believing things about yourself that become true. They weren't true when you first started to believe it, but they became true because you lowered yourself. So I believe, yes, having courage, I think, is where the shift starts in everybody's life. Find the things you fear and go do them.
It's just having that ferocious mindset, bro. That ferocious, hard to kill, I won't die.
Okay.
Right?
So can you guys both give an example? Because we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Can you both give an example of which a point in your life when you knew that that's how you needed to be, but that wasn't what your actions showed? Like, did you at any point falter? And what was that like? There's no way around. There has to be a point, because there's tons of points in my life where I'm like,
Go for it.
I felt like, man, I mean, I think for me with business, I felt like there's certain things that I could have done more of. There's certain situations where my mind, or at least where I was at, I thought I was a lot further than where I was based on like the rest of my organization, the rest of my businesses, where I was so focused on one part of a business that the other part was fucked. It became fucked because I wasn't looking at it the way I should have.
Yeah.
And in the long run, it hurt me. I mean, we've had this conversation, I think, in more detail, but that was a point where I was like, oh damn, like I wasn't who I thought I was, or I wasn't who I wanted to be. And I found myself obviously in a I got to dig myself out of this sort of situation. And so I guess I'm kind of asking you guys this really just to show perspective, because it's easy for us to sit here and talk all day about like what it takes and who we are now. But for the listeners and the people, most of these people, I believe, are probably going to be at some point a pivot where they're like, okay, I'm at a point where I know I want to be somewhere else or someone else, or, see myself as something else greater, but I'm stuck. So to that person, I was just asking your personal experiences, wherever you felt stuck, really, where you felt like, damn, I need to rework my entire thought process around this in order to actually move forward.
I got several times in life that this has happened. I said one of my most recent notable ones was I was mentioning the group I was in. I was in Dubai, man, and I got a call from the group, and they voted me out the business that I started. Right? I'm pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm 3,000 to 5,000 miles away from anything. I can't do anything. And so in that moment, I'm like, all right, how do you respond to this? Because I can get angry. I can try to blow up everything, right? To say, well, if I'm not in it, you not in it, nobody in it. And so that was a moment where I had to ask myself, who am I? How do I respond to things like this? Do I just go with anger, where I have no control and it becomes sabotage? Or do I respond in a way to where I show them that they needed me, I didn't need them, right? And I decided to go with the latter. I decided to say, you know what? I'm gonna let y'all have that. Not 100%. I got my strategy of how I'm gonna get my get back. But my energy and my focus should be best dialed with how do I create a competitive situation, right? To where I showed that this entire thing was based on my vision, and I'm also the executor because I relied on other people's skills. And then that's when I was like, damn, my discernment wasn't as good.
Yeah.
Right? Or I should have seen these red flags. And then I had to decide, do I start going down that rabbit hole of blaming myself, or I start going down a different hole of like, how do I grow from this? And instead of a hole, it becomes a hill, right? And at the end of the day, I become the king of this. But this relationship that I'm talking about, this is a multi-million-dollar relationship. So it's not something you just get over. This is like stuff where you think about your identity in life because you're dependent on this thing to work out. So in those moments in life, those are the ones that test you the most because you can go down this self-conflicting thought process where it becomes this feedback loop of, damn, I should have seen this. Damn, this went wrong. Why they do me like this? And then you just get negative. Or you can say, all right, for me, every time I go through something, I want to figure out what can I learn that will allow me to handle this the best way. So I automatically find books. Like that's my go-to because I realize that the person I am is not equipped to handle this situation. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got myself into it.
Yeah.
Right? So what I end up doing is I seek knowledge that is directly associated with the skill set necessary for me to get to the top of the hill. Right? Otherwise, I'm going to be stuck repeating this past thoughts and loop. And when you have something new in your mind, then it allows you to think differently. So I start learning, right? And then when I put that to execution, I was able to create a family business that became more successful than the business that I was in. That happened to me multiple times for when I had a case in jail. My older brother was giving me books to read, and it was showing me how to shape myself and how to help steer my lawyer during the case so that we can beat it. We end up beating it. Each time I get to these juncture points of, do I go down this rabbit hole of fear of failure where things is going to be bad, right? And do I allow that to become my obsession? Or do I allow winning in the next step and whatever the lesson this was from this to become a story that becomes my legend? So I believe in lessons, a legend. Either you become a lesson or a legend. God will take your story and use it for somebody else and you become a lesson. Or you can take your story and become a legend, right? That other people can reflect off of, like, damn, he killed it. He did that right. And I believe the more things you go through, the more valuable you are and how God can use you. Because you ain't went through shit. You ain't got nothing that you can teach nobody else. So I've had so many stories like that throughout my life where it's just constantly reminding you, whether it's a multi-million-dollar thing, whether it's a woman, whether it's your life on the line, right? Whether you got to face opposition, right? All of those things are just asking yourself, how will you deal with this? And so you go to that mind of saying that things are bad, but they could be worse. That's growth mindset, right? And then I start thinking about what's the best outcome. So now I'm looking forward versus looking back. And in each one of those situations, I was able to have a good outcome because of that, right? And if I don't have a good outcome, I know that's only short term. And it just may be a harder lesson for me to learn, right? But eventually, this is going to put me back on top.
So your take is that I guess it really just comes down to if you stop whatever it is you're trying to, whatever, if it's the relationship or obviously a new girl or a new business, if you stop, then you become the lesson.
100%, because you didn't learn from it, because learning is growth. So the moment you learn from it, you're now more equipped. Like, unfortunately, in our culture, we don't appreciate lessons and losses enough, right? Because the more you lose, but the key is keeping that same optimism and dynamism.
When you say our culture, do you mean our culture? Do you mean?
All right, so
I just want to be clear.
when I mean black
You mean
culture.
okay. Your guy,
When I say society, I'm talking about all of
Got
us,
you.
right? So, but it happens I say our culture is because white men a lot of times know how to respect losses, right? A person will lose an entire $1 billion business, go start another one up. We don't get that many at-bat second chances a lot
Let's
of times.
talk about this.
Right.
Yeah.
So therefore, in our culture, we have to learn to respect those losses because now you're actually more qualified after each loss. If you can keep the same energy and you can learn from that lesson. So I will be more adapted to put and invest in somebody who's lost multiple times versus somebody who ain't went through nothing because they don't even know how they're going to handle a loss. So now you get to see how a person handles it, what they learn from it, and what they do afterwards. And now they have a myriad of experience that they can utilize to make better decisions going forward. So I think losses need to be respected because there has never been a great man in history of humanity that didn't have great losses.
Yeah. Why do you think it's more difficult in your culture
What?
to overcome certain things? Just to overcome.
I wouldn't say to overcome generally, but from a business sense, I think our perspective, the way we perceive losses. But as a human being, as a man, I can overcome anything, right? But our culture of business is a lot of times we look at it from like a Black Wall Street, right? The government bombed Black Wall Street, right? 1921, right? So we'll think about something like that, like, damn, if we try to restart something, right, then they're going to try to stop it. We'll think about how the FBI had COINTEL programs, right?
There's trauma
We'll
in
think
certain
about
decisions.
trauma that comes along with it. It's not the same if you're a white man. You don't have a city in America that they burnt down. So sometimes we relate to those things, getting back to that victory mindset, you have to change the story, right? Because then I can also look at, wait a minute, Elijah Muhammad had, in today's revenue, would be a $500 million empire. He had a third grade education. So in my mind, that's the narrative. In somebody else's mind, it's a trauma story. So it really depends on the story you tell yourself. But the story, unfortunately, we don't control enough media. So we got slave stories, we got trauma stories, and not enough stories of heroism and victory tales. So the narrative in our head that we start with may start from a losing position versus a winning, which puts you in the negative.
And then unfortunately, that's reinforced. Propaganda is also movies, right? Here we have Gladiator 2, right? When once again there's a white hero
Make America Rome again.
and a black scumbag. They made Denzel a scumbag. And listen, I looked up that character because they usually use real characters historically in these movies. And Denzel's character wasn't a scumbag in real life. Why he has to be a scumbag to us? You feel me? So that's reinforced.
You mean for us in the
when
media?
we're watching it, yeah.
Got it.
That's reinforcing us being like that, like the lower tier, lower on ethical level. Like he was a gay dude and he was like a shyster in the movie. You feel me?
Yeah.
And that's just not reality all the time. Most of the time, you feel me? So, and then go back to the movie 300. Like I love that movie, but I know history, right?
Yeah.
In that movie, Leonidas said he called the Arcadians boy lovers. I'm like, why'd you do that? Right? He called them gay. There's a real story called the 300 of Thebes, which was 150 warriors that were very dominant in battle because they were coupled with their gay lovers, with their boyfriends. So imagine two gay dudes. They're stronger than a dude and a woman, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna fuck shit up. You ain't gonna let nothing happen to your boo.
Yo, it's kind of crazy.
So here it is.
It's kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie.
The movie 300. The guy that is in the gay tribe in real history is calling other people gay.
Right.
So that tells me that whoever's writing these, they know what the fuck they're doing. They playing with people. You feel me? And also in that movie, just for reference, as a black man, it was the Romans against the Persians, and they made Persians black and Arab. That's not a Persian. Persians are not black. The Persians, Iran is like the Aryans of the Middle East. They're more white, right?
But there were dark-skinned Persians.
But not
if you-
like that. That was a dominant.
But you got to go to.
You talking about the guy with all the earrings and shit on?
Bro, it was,
Yeah, I don't
it
know
was
what that
Xerxes.
thing was.
Xerxes, yeah.
That was some new age
His
stuff.
messenger looked like
But
a sub-Saharan African.
But if you
know what I'm
go to
saying?
the Persian, I went to the museum out in the Louvre in Paris, and all of the depictions are like black Afro-Asiatic Persians. You know what I mean?
I'm sure there's some, but
Up they wall, like mostly like all of them almost.
nah,
I'm talking about at the museum.
But
For
just
sure.
in history, like that part of the Middle East is not us, right? But in the movie, we're the scumbags again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, knock it off with this shit.
Well, you know,
And
history is told by the winners.
I mean,
that's
so
it.
it's and once again, it's propaganda. You feel me? And look, propaganda. So who started propaganda? So you had Hitler implementing propaganda during World War II, right?
Do you think he was the first person?
That was a thing of that was a tactic of
Stalin,
his strategies, right? What was the guy? Goebbels. He was the minister of propaganda. They did dope shit propaganda wise back then to like get their people. They had such national unity that the world have not seen. You feel me?
Right.
We
So,
have no national unity.
Zero. After that, the people who were the recipients of their most horrific atrocities were the Jews, right? They picked up on that propaganda shit and went crazy with it. For real, they run the propaganda machine here and in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, movies, entertainment, news, all of this stuff. Who runs it? You feel me?
Yeah.
And people be like, "Oh, that's anti-Semitic." Like, stop. No, it's not. Anti-Semitic. A lot of y'all that's claiming that are not even Semitic people, right? A person that converts to Judaism is not a Semitic person. Semitic people are people that live parts of sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East, East Asia, and the Horn of Africa. Okay? Europeans are not Semitic people.
Right.
It's not, just like an Australian is not a Semitic or an American. You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's like, stop saying that word for one. And you're saying that people hate Jews because they're pointing out certain obvious things. That doesn't mean that we hate you.
Yeah.
Knock it off. Stop being weird.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know
No,
what I
it's a definitely a big speaking point. It's a big thing nowadays.
It's just you're making the word not important anymore by just putting it on everybody. I don't even like when black people be like, everything is racist. It's like, nah, you just being an asshole. Like there was a girl, since I'm moving to Dubai, somebody brought up, well, look what they did to the black girl who got arrested with the rental car thing. I went and read the story. I'm like, stop. It had nothing to do with her being black. Yeah, she got in a car accident and went to the rental car people and yelling at them, all like, going crazy.
Yeah.
That country don't play that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So it don't matter what you
Period.
are.
Like, no matter-
But
yeah.
nobody acts like that. I'm embarrassed to read the shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Knock it off. It ain't nothing to do with you being black. Damn near everybody over there black. Stop it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, when you are always saying this anti-Semitic, it takes the seriousness away from a real anti-Semitic situation.
Yeah.
So
Same thing with the racist shit. I feel like it's overused in a lot of ways and to almost like diminish actual racism.
But here's the thing that's overused.
Like reverse racism.
Here's the thing.
The reverse racism is the bigger conversation.
Here's the thing.
Topic right
Here's the
now.
thing that's like, I don't like what people be doing. So
No, let's talk about it.
people will say like,
sure.
people will be like victim mentality. Like if a black person talk about when our ancestors were under the condition of slavery, oh, victim mentality. Stop.
Historian.
It's not victim mentality. I'm not a victim, right? And you're not going to shame people who have been victimized to not talk about it, because that's what people are trying to do.
Yeah.
Right. And not you, but it's usually white men, right? It's like, that was so long ago. Like
If that's
it wasn't
the case,
it wasn't
nobody
that
should
long
have
ago.
Confederate flags.
I don't even care about that shit, but it wasn't that long ago, right? There's people living now that were probably the kids of indentured servants. That was like legalized slavery. You feel me? So the shit wasn't that long ago. I was on a podcast in Florida with Adam from Valuetainment, and we had a little debate about reparations.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. And shout out to Adam. That's my homie. But he was very hesitant in conceding that, yeah, black people should get reparations. I'm like, but your people get reparations. Jewish people, right? And America has done nothing to y'all. You know, that was Germany. You feel me? And the rest of Europe. Because that wasn't just Germany. That was all of Europe was like, get the fuck out of here. You feel me?
Yeah.
So
and we came to help.
We came to help, and we're still helping Israel to the highest degree.
Right.
We fucked up Japan, fixed them up. We fucked up Iraq. We're over there fixing them up everywhere. Even the natives, they kind of wiped out. There's still benefits. There's still some form of reparations for the natives here. Nothing for us. We've done it.
Just get over it.
We've been human trafficked, right? Kidnapped, like just the worst things that you can imagine if we really spell it out, right? And then forced to work, not for a year, not for 4 years, not for 20 years, 4 centuries. Forget about it. It is a long time ago. Yeah, you always talking about it. Yes, run me my bag, baby. And don't tell me what to do with it. And don't ask me, where do we get the money from? I don't give a fuck. The same bank you got the Ukraine money from, motherfucker.
Print that shit on thin air,
Print that
bro.
shit, baby.
Fuck, it's crazy.
Fuck? And then people like, it's my tax dollars. Shut the fuck up. You don't even pay taxes. Knock it off. People be talking so much shit. They say everything, but like, yeah, that's real. Y'all should get y'all back. It's so hard for people to say that, which is fascinating. And you call yourself my friend, my homie.
You gotta
like,
ask, what fear is that? What is the fear of black people getting reparations?
What do you think about that?
It's America's original sin. I mean, you can't say, well, they had slavery everywhere. We don't care about slavery.
No, but it wasn't this.
One, and it wasn't chattel slavery.
Chattel slavery is different.
A unique.
It's what slavery?
Chattel slavery.
Where you were treated like dogs.
Like,
you were treated
like cattle.
like animals.
You're
that
branded.
A unique form of slavery in America.
Correct.
So it was completely destroy a human being to not even see themselves as a human being.
100%.
Indentured slave servitude, you can pay off a debt.
To add on to that mentality was taught to the world.
Yeah.
Through Darwinism, because they had their little hierarchy of humans or whatever bullshit. They did so much propaganda to teach to justify them treating us like that. Because any decent person, I don't give a fuck what you are, you're gonna be like, what are you doing?
I mean, so Hitler learned from America.
They would, yeah. See, all right, let's talk about Hitler. This is crazy because
it's crazy
because look, I grew up in the Nation of Islam as well, the Nation of Gods and Earths, Brooklyn, New York, where culture we learned history, right? And they were like, Hitler wasn't your enemy. He didn't hate black people. He hated Jews. We were taught this. He hated Jews in his country and homosexuals in his country. He didn't have a campaign against gays everywhere or Jews everywhere. He hated Jews in his country for whatever reasons they had, right? I don't know. I wasn't there. You feel me?
Yeah.
It's weird that nobody asked why, right?
Right.
Even AI is so biased. You'd be like, why? It's like, because of anti-Semitism. What?
Yeah.
He hated them because of anti-Semitism? But anyway, he hated them. You know who hated everybody? People like Winston Churchill, who's a hero. Winston Churchill hated people that he never interacted with, like Indians in America. It's like, bro, you're not even here.
Yeah,
Hitler didn't have that. And then Hitler, he implemented a form of castration in his country that he learned from America.
From our eugenics program.
Correct. That they was doing to us and to natives. You feel me? America has, like he said, has sins that needs to be atoned. That's why I'm getting up out of here. Listen, if you're sitting under a tree, you're an innocent man, and lightning strikes that tree, you're gonna die. You feel me? And we're carrying on with these great sins that America has articulated with no recourse. America, look, years ago, there was a senator, David Rangel. He was the head of the Black Caucus. He was like, all right, y'all ain't gonna give us reparations. Can we get a formal apology? No. Fuck out of here. No. America wouldn't do a formal apology to our Africans in America from Africa through the slave trade. A formal apology. One thing, my first time going to Germany, you know what I learned about them? They teach and they acknowledge their wrongs in World War II and the Holocaust, and they feel bad about it. I'm like, really? We can't, you can't even have that conversation in America about slavery. It's like, what are you talking about? It was so long ago. Get over it. You know what I'm saying?
I get you.
But
So-
then you can't even just there's the slavery and then there's everything that happened after.
Also,
Yeah,
too,
we can't even talk about slavery to talk about all of that shit.
Wait, we didn't even go to the last 100 years. The slavery, that's you're talking about 1865.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
But what we're dealing with in current America is not directly like our mentality and things that we're trying to get over based on epigenetics. That's what we're dealing with from slavery, that post-traumatic slave syndrome, that trauma that exists in the DNA. But the construction of America, we talking about things that all happened after slavery. Black Wall Street was after slavery, right? The FBI special program that was created to task and infiltrate black groups was created to stop the rise of a so-called black messiah, right? Like even when they found groups that had no violent connections whatsoever, they would still infiltrate and engage tactics to dismantle these groups because they believed that the greatest threat was a unified structure of culture for black people, right? Now think about that. And if there was any other group that this has happened to in American history, right? And they found themselves in statistical bottoms financially, economically, or whatever,
Prison,
you'd be like, oh,
yeah.
I get why, right? But people don't want you to look at the history is because then they want to make excuses and say, well, I'm ahead because I'm superior. And you ahead because you inferior. There was
We're
a
not ahead
time,
because you're
buying.
right?
Yeah.
But there was a time of Bacon Rebellion where black and whites were grouping against the government, right? Because they was looking at how the living conditions of Americans, right?
when was this?
This was in, let me pull
Pull
it
this
up.
up if you can.
Yeah, pull up the Bacon Rebellion, right? Yeah. But what the elites did is they gave certain rights to whites, right? And they said, well, if we go give you these rights, right? And basically essentially start to create this middle class, then you can no longer be in rebellion with the blacks. And it was like, well, hey, listen, it was nice fighting with you, but we gonna take these white rights over here.
One of the most confusing yet intriguing.
Real quick. Jamestown, the first colony in America, slave colony, King James. That's his shit. Problematic. Not Christian at all, but carry on.
It says the Bacon Rebellion was probably one of the most confusing yet intriguing chapters in the Jamestown history for many years. Historians considered the Virginia rebellions in 1676 to be the first stirring of revolutionary sentiment of America. So what do you know about this?
So
Because I don't know shit about
well,
this.
at the sentiment of the time, it was blacks and whites going against the government, right? But what they had to do was divide the people, right? So they couldn't make it to where, so you got to understand, like there's a lot of different histories in America, right? There's a lot of different towns that was destroyed. There were black affluent towns in America, but almost each and every time it was destroyed by the government or outside town folks, right? It was in, North Carolina where they had they had a campaign where they had the fear of a black rule, right? That was their idea. It was spread by white propagandists, and they were afraid that if black people left to their own economic and political sovereignty, then they will continue to grow. And they were just jealous. They was like, how is these people thriving and living? And so then they would utilize their newspapers and their media to sow discourse between blacks and a lot of low economic whites, right? Because at the time they were illiterate, right? There was a time where blacks in America had a higher literacy rate because we super value education anytime we get our hands on a book because it was illegal for us. So when we had those opportunities, then that's when we started to advance left to our own vices, right? We would just grow. So you talking about Black Wall Street, that's Greenwood, right? Where the dollar would circulate, right? Consistently because it was a town that was built up. And then that one fell because they said it was a 19-year-old boy coming out the elevator. They said that a white girl screamed
at a white woman,
right? And that was the spark that it was a clash between black folks in the town and white folks in the town because he knew they was gonna try to hang him.
A mob came.
And at the time, we had our own mobs, we had our own police forces and things of that nature. That clash ended up turning into where they dropped bombs on an American city. You know what I mean? Utilizing the government. And so that wasn't the only time that it happened. And it happened several times throughout history, black history, specifically when you're looking at black towns. So, but when you look at times where there was rebellions in America to where there was blacks and whites fighting on the same side because politically they would look at America is saying that, wait a minute, the reason we're not living a higher life is because the government is suppressing us. They didn't look at it as, oh, it's black people that keeping us down. That was created as a wedge divided so that the people never are united and look at the government as the issue. The whole point of having the right to bear arms, to be in a well-regulated militia, is protect yourself against a tyrannical government, not the people around you.
Correct.
Today, they got you looking at whether he's Muslim, he's black, or whether he's Jewish, or whether he's white, or whether he's black, or whatever it may be. That's just to keep the people focused on each other so they never have a rebellion against the government, right? And so that's why anytime you see these things perpetuated in the people that control media, if you control media and you stir division against the people, it's only so they not paying attention to you, right? So the best thing in America, what happened, the American Revolution, means that Americans decide that we want a greater quality of life. We don't want overtaxation. We don't want more inflation.
All of us.
Right. Yeah. Now speaking at all of us, we don't want over-regulation. We don't want to lose our privacy. We don't want the government to have these loose rules with the FDA to where they can put all of these different artificial ingredients within our food. Yeah. We don't want propaganda administered. We don't want psyops from the CIA. We don't want the military campaigns and media. We don't want all of these unnecessary wars to constantly cause disharmony and make the people of the world hate Americans. Like, we don't want these things. That would be something that as a Christian family would say, of course, why would we want that? Right? We want to love our brother. We Christian. A Muslim family say, of course, that's what we want. Yes. Somebody follows a Torah, be like, yeah, the spiritual people, it's like namaste. You know what I'm talking about? Like everybody should be in agreement with that. But let me keep these fools divided in silos where they think their problem is each other and not us.
And then it be buzzwords, right? So I remember when they was like defund the police, right? And everybody's like, what do you mean? Nobody said, well, what does that mean? No one was like, let's critically look at that, right? There's no real discussions about what that actually meant. You feel what I'm saying? And the police departments are very problematic. Can you pull up a slave patrol badge? There used to be a time when there was no police, right?
You see though how the overarching thing, the government controlling the elites, whatever you want to call it, right?
And this wasn't just towards black people.
But it's because of what you just said. No one knew what that meant.
No one talks.
Right? Because
propaganda.
Like, obviously at the same time, you don't want to just have no policemen and not pay them money. And it's like, the blanket terms.
But does any rational person think that that's what that meant?
This is, I don't believe rational people believe that. I believe there's a whole group of people who just hear it and go, that's what that means.
But I heard a lot of smart, rational people at that time acting like that's what it meant on podcasts and everything.
Well, maybe that
they was riding a wave, bro.
But so it's okay. So this is a whole nother conversation though. Then we just start talking about how people they'll latch on to anything that can give them some sort of traction to create monetization for themselves.
And it's easy to ride a feel good wave that everybody is rocking with.
Yeah. Create a community. Oh, no, like, we're cool over here.
Yeah, defund the police.
So it's weird because like there is that overarching like, yo, let's divide and conquer. But then there's everyone on the middle level that's like, oh, I could also use this. I could leverage this for my own sort of self-interest.
I don't even know if it's that particular, right? I think it's still just a herd mentality that people kind of naturally gravitate to.
What is?
You know? Just riding, like, defund the police. Like, nobody wanted to have a critical conversation about that. They were just saying, you see what they're trying to do?
Well,
I hate these terms. The left, the right, whatever.
I get. Like, I didn't understand it at first. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't in politics, but now I get these ideas of like.
And they say,
like in our communities, like the Democrats, the leftist radical Democrats. There was an article that was put out against me, Joe Budden, and Stephen A. Smith, and was saying that
I love Stephen A. Smith, by the way.
Yeah,
that guy's amazing.
So it was a MSNBC. And it was written with, I believe, by this leftist Democratic think tank, essentially, saying that black influence is the most dangerous because we spread a radical white ring ideas, right? And instead of them coming to us and saying that, and I reached out to the lady because I'm at this point now. Somebody write an article about me, I'm blasting them out. You know what I mean? Because media can go back and forth.
Yo, don't take it that far.
No. You wildin'.
Then they'll be like, we knew it the whole time.
Philosophically,
But the idea is that we never talk about the radical leftists enough, right? They are radical. They do push the effeminization agenda, right? They do have their own tactics that they utilize. You can see the radical right because they're loud and they're obvious. You know what I'm saying? But for our community, and I'm talking about the black community.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No,
I appreciate it.
Community, it's the Democrats that we are the majority vote for. So we usually talk to them. We usually put the onus on them, right? Because historically, right, we've went with the Democrats. Now, if you go back in the day, all of the leaders back in the day were all Republicans.
Martin Luther
But
King.
these were two different parties as far as their shifts are concerned. So now we at this point in time where the people have to decide, are you happy with the government, right? The way that the government is being ran. Now, Donald Trump has put in so much optimism towards the ruling class and the elites and the government that people believe that America about to be great again, right? Now, whether that happens is to be seen. Now, what we do know is that the ruling class is trying to figure out how do they keep making as much money as possible. So
Yeah, that's a given.
when you see them rolling out robots, that's not to help the people, right? When you see them rolling out AI, it's not to help the people. It's to suppress wages. When they roll out immigration, it's because they need to patent the numbers, right? If you was to bring in Canada or Mexico, all you did was just bring in a bunch of immigrants, right? It's the same thing. But because the numbers are dwindling in America and you have a baby bust to where we're not as enough of a fertile nation, right? So therefore you need human capital to work because there's so many jobs that can't be worked and we ain't gonna be able to roll out robots and automation fast enough. And America's trying to figure out how does it maintain its superiority. And then you got China and you got India, right? India ain't having no problems with having babies. I'm not sure about Asia. There's a lot of issues that's going on in different places. Africa is the youngest continent. They average age is somewhere around 19. You know what I mean? So
they have a lot of babies.
Plenty of babies in the sun out there. They enjoying life. You know what I'm saying?
Robust fertility.
Nigerians in South Africa, I was looking at the stats, like they are like one of the number one and number two countries in cryptocurrency, right? And even understanding. To the point where like the average Nigerian, like 35 to 55, has a crypto wallet, which is vastly different across the US and across different countries. Right. But back to that point that if we looking at the ruling class, the people always have to say, OK, is the future of America going so that the people benefit, or is the future of America so that the ruling class elites benefit? Because even if we talking to the young men out there, they would have to then figure out a way to exchange their workforce and their gifts and their skill set to buy assets. But assets cost too much. Buying a house keeps going up, cars keep going up. So the reason the American dream died is not just ideologically, it's that people can't afford it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's when the young man is like, what the hell, I'm about to go work till I'm 30, get a job, try to figure out 60, 75 retirement. That don't exist. Your new plan has to be built off your skills, your gifts. You should be a part of a community to where you can have access to these things without needing direct ownership. Because you still want to be able to travel, you still want to be able to move, but you don't want your whole entire world ran by elite corporations and oligarchies. I don't see how patriotism in America has allowed America to be completely ran by special interest groups and corporations.
Because
you look at each other and think that a celebrity is your issue, a Diddy is your problem, a Beyonce going in country is your issue, or a black and white racism issue. No, you are afraid to face the real issue. And that's that the ruling class and the corporations and the special interest group has taken over your country. And instead of you looking outward towards them, you looking at each other as the enemy because you don't want that real rebellion, right? So that's what we face with in America. Americans are being cowards when it comes to taking back their country, right? The Constitution, those who written the Constitution, if you go read the Constitution and you read what the founders have written about it, America has went completely away from the Constitution. Mm-hmm. Now, there's somebody that can say, well, it was written in the 1700s and we now live in a globalist world. So a lot of those things may be outdated because they couldn't imagine the world that we live in today. And there's truth to that. Like even this idea of one president ruling the world doesn't work. That's why you have to have this body of people that can rule. Because in order for you to handle the complex reality that we live in today, there has to be change. But who decides that change?
But see, they accounted for that. And this is one thing I do like about the Constitution. But I do think that America is just too big too many people, right? If you look at any system around the world, people can say, because here we think that democracy is the best, right? Capitalism, I'm sorry, communism is horrible, socialism is horrible. We just don't live in those. Actually, this is a socialist country. This is a democratic/socialist country. Everything has a mixture, right? But anyway, countries that have the happiest people, and that's how I'm gauging this metric, are small countries.
It like Denmark or something?
Yeah, Denmark, Sweden. It has nothing to do with democratic or communist or none of that shit. None of that shit matters. So we have a huge country, and the bigger things it gets problematic. But here's the good thing. This is when, like, you know, during an election cycle, the federal election cycle, people lose their fucking minds, right?
Yeah, every year.
They stop being friends, you know, and here's why they should not. I don't give a fuck what you say. Whoever is the president has very little to do with your life, very little impact to do with each person's life, right? The way that the government was set up was you have 50 sovereign entities, right? Which have 50 governments. Within those states, there's counties that are sovereign and have their own governments. Within those counties, there's cities that have their own governments, right? The people are so padded from the Fed, right? That's why they're like, oh, marijuana is illegal federally, but not over here. It's goofy. So knock it off. Where you live at is what matters. What's important to you is your local politics, not the fucking president. You feel me? So people are they're so married to a team. They don't do any research, Democrat, Republican. I wish black people wasn't so tethered to the Democratic Party or any party, no people, because here's the thing. Republican Party, the people of the Republican Party, they manipulate white people like the Democrat Party manipulate black people. You feel me? This is what they do to y'all. To not all y'all, but so there was a point where what he said was true.
When you say y'all, we talking about?
White people.
There we go.
Republican Party used to be called the party of the nigger, of the Negro. You know what I'm saying? The Democratic Party, you could pull this up. Fact check me. The Democratic Party used to be called the party of the white man, right?
What?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Party of the white man.
They were racist as hell.
Anyway, let me explain how this shit broke down. So
man, they didn't give a fuck back then, huh?
Fuck no, bro.
They didn't give a fuck.
So Pete, so all right, we can all, objectively speaking, treating people bad is bad. Nobody 100%. Likes that shit. And I'm gonna just say this, white people wasn't cool with that. It was the white people that can afford slavery was cool with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they had it. So, but there was black people who had slaves too, which is kind of fucked up in Haiti, shit like that. But anyway, let's talk about here. So it got to a point to where the Democrat Party had to start abandoning some of their overtly racist ideologies. All right, you can look this up. This is a show. Which party was the Ku Klux Klan? They were Democrats. Go back. There was one. Oh, there you go. No. Go back. I seen one link. It says the inconvenient truth about the Democratic Party. Click on that. I'm sure that's, yeah.
Yeah, middle.
When you think of racial equality and civil rights, which party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people think since 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, so on and so forth.
How do they switch up so heavy on
I'm going to tell
guys?
you how.
It's so crazy.
Because look, as time goes on, people start seeing things more and become a little bit smarter. So the segregation thing, they were like, hey, this overtly racist shit is not working, so we have to switch it up. So they left that rhetoric alone, right? So the Republican Party, everybody's trying to find what are we gonna do? The Republican Party noticed that, so the Democratic Party had a big group of people that was like, I don't know what to do. The racists and the overtly religious, right? So the Republican Party at that point, they said, ooh, we're gonna pick up this abortion shit. Because nobody gave a fuck about abortion back then until around Nixon time, right? And the racists, nobody had them. That's a big group of voters, right? So Nixon implemented like dog whistle type shit. Well, Nixon was an overt racist. Fuck him, right? So was Ronald Reagan. So, but they had a strategy to get the racists to vote for them by saying little buzzword shits. You know what I'm saying? letting them know that, yo, I'm here for you, right? Now, all the way down to Trump. So that's why black people always look at the Republican Party as racist, because there's racial undertones. It's not overt, but it's there, right? But that's a strategy that you have to employ to win that side. It is what it is.
Right.
So, and the Democrats do the same thing. They come at us like they're our friends, and they're not, right? Fucking Joe Biden, he's on the Breakfast Club saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. If you don't smack fire out this old man,
That was crazy.
that was crazy.
He was also, I also seen him on like old C-SPAN clips saying like crazy
he
shit.
was a racist.
Yeah,
there was crazy shit.
His mentor died a few years ago. This guy was a grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. You could fact check that shit too, right? He was a high ranking Ku Klux Klan official.
So how do you think how do you think that party though got like because
tell you,
what I know
I'll tell
historically
you.
is like black people voted Democratic.
I'll tell you, their politics is bullshit. That's why. So they don't give a fuck. They're gonna be like, hey, I love y'all. Come on, what's up? I'm here for y'all. I'm gonna go on your black shows. Bill Clinton going on the Arsenio Hall show, playing the saxophone. He didn't give a fuck about us.
But it
You
was
know what I'm saying?
also civil rights. So it's when the Democrats started picking up civil rights legislation, right? And the Republicans wasn't for it, right? So we started leaning towards them because they was more in favor of civil rights and things of that nature. Like you got to go back when John F. Kennedy was killed, and then after that you get the voting. What was it? The Voting Rights Act after him, right? But at the time, I believe the Republicans didn't want to sign it. Right. At first they was, I got to remember what the history was, but it was the civil rights thing that got black people to move favorably towards Democrats. And there was a shift that happened. And then they
But
said,
the marketing,
well, this is
mainly
in
the
our
marketing.
interest. The only difference is that our values are still more aligned with Republican because it's more conservative. But they started pushing more progressive order in the Democratic Party. Right. So therefore we started shifting over to the blue. Right. And then ever since then they had us, whether they was doing good or bad for us. Now, civil rights leaders are interested in our community, right? Because it is a very strong history. But we had different leaders before civil rights leaders. We had more radical leaders that were more aligned with Republican ideology in the sense that it was do for self, right? It was get it on your own merit, right? Even though the Nation of Islam has never been a political organization, but it is steeped in conservative values. Family.
Which leaders were those? Are you referring
Elijah
to?
Muhammad,
Minister
you talking about
Farrakhan.
Malcolm X,
Okay.
Mr. Farrakhan,
Yeah.
right? That whole lineage. But, you know, they had their own economy within an economy. It was about creating our own jobs. You go to Marcus Garvey, he was talking about do for self and creating our own economies. It was not about welfare dependency whatsoever in government intervention, right? That shift happened sometime after World War II, right? Where those radical leaders, after Japan had lost and they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, a lot of the sentiment following a lot of those radical movements at that time, black movements, because they had connections with the Japanese, because they believed the Japanese was going to help them end white supremacy, right? You got to think about, when you talk about America, that's why it's hard for somebody that is black and conscious to glorify America, because you got to be talking about what time period. Because you may be able to say this while you're living today, but if I go drop your ass off in the 1950s, you don't have none of those rights. Right? I drop you in the 1960s. You can't say what you want to. You would
Even
have
the
had to be a
1980s.
part of a Pan-African or a black movement at that time, right? To where you were a part of something that gave you safety in those numbers, right? But we were focused on economics, kind of like how we are today. We're focused back on how we can do for self. And every time the Democrats have promised us something, they lied,
Yeah.
right? And this has been a bad relationship with them where it's like, no matter what, they always lie to us. And now we at this point in time where people have woken up to it, because the spirit of where we are now is like, all right, do we go another 4 years? And now it's like, bro, we allowed them to lie all the way up to 2025. Like now we got quantum computers and AIs and robotics and quantum machines, and the world has changed. So it's like, goddamn, by the time you realize it was too late, but you realize also it was, I believe, this government coalition of wanting that type of leadership to lead Black America. The civil rights leadership is not the type of leadership where Black people create their own economy and they circulate their dollar within. No, that's not that leadership. The leadership we had before was, we're going to circulate and build our own communities. We're not waiting to go to their schools. We build our own schools, right? We're not waiting to ride on their bus. We have our own buses. So instead of we had a boycott to where they didn't ride buses for months and months and months, and it lasted a very long time. But the whole time we actually had our own bus line. So instead of focusing on Rosa Parks not sitting on the back of their bus where she should have the right to sit wherever she wants to, we could have also focused on how do we have our own bus line, right? Because we had more wealth before segregation, right? Or desegregation, right? Than we have now. So now we are the children of this great experiment that if we get civil rights, then somehow we have equality. But we didn't get civil rights. We didn't get equity.
Say that last part one more time. You said that the black community had more wealth
before segregation, before desegregation.
Yeah. Because you got to
Before it
think
was
of
legally desegregated.
We was focusing.
We're still segregated.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted.
So,
right?
okay.
But
we had our own land, our own schools,
we
bus
had to
lines,
buy
companies.
We spent money with each
we
other.
circulated within each other. Right.
So maybe this is like, maybe I'm like shooting off, but then when we talked about the reparation thing, then
oh no,
why,
they still
still
owed us
need that.
reparation at that time.
You
too.
still need that.
okay, I'm just,
Yeah,
no,
that's-
I'm just trying to like
that's a
figure
debt
out.
that- That's a debt.
Look.
That's a debt that has not been
There's
paid.
different type of reparations too.
Okay.
There's post like
I'm not trying to argue against it. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
no.
Yeah.
If it was there,
But no, it was never there.
No,
No,
yeah, we
listen
never,
to what he's saying.
They
He said-
promised
he said-
reparations and never gave it.
He
Number
said
one.
what he said was this: we black people as a collective was doing better because we spent money amongst each other. We built our own businesses, so on and so forth. We weren't given anything. Right. We were in our own community thriving. When that got broken up, shit. went
how
to
did that
hell.
happen?
To
your knowledge, how it got broken up.
Multitude of different things.
First of all, what he mentioned, things like that happen a lot. The bombing of Black Wall Street,
Freeman
lynch mobs going into black communities. There's laws, there's vagrancy laws that kind of still exist now. I remember as a teenager being in a mall with the homies, and they're like, "It's too many of y'all together. It can't be 4 people together."
Bro,
they don't say black, but it's like that.
Bro,
but that's a vagrancy law that you had post slavery.
But that was a whole black codes. My great grandfather, he held Thurgood Marshall, and my great aunt, who was the second attorney in the state of Missouri, right? She was the first black woman on the council at NAACP, right? Which was started by white Jews and some blacks. Before they had a black woman on there.
NAACP has nothing to do with black people, for the record. People think that's a black thing. It's a Jewish thing.
Yeah, I read about that.
It's not for us.
So my grandfather, who was in real estate, right at the time, he was selling houses to blacks, but in certain neighborhoods in St. Louis, they had racist covenants to where that they would not try to honor the sale that if it was a black person moving into that neighborhood. So what he did was he took that to the Supreme Court. He financed that case, right? And they won, which allowed them to then be able to buy wherever they want to. But also when you go into times like that, you got to go into redlining, where they specifically created highways and they created the hoods of America, right? And they created a middle class at a time, but black people didn't get anything, right? So like, that middle class generation, the suburbs was constructed, right? It wasn't that they worked better and they knew how to save money better. That's not it, right? White wealth in America was given to them, right? It's not the same. While ours was being stolen, there's generations of land ownership that we had, millions of acres, right? That was stolen by the courts and sometimes just stolen by whites who would just come on that land and kill them and take the land. Right? Then you go into the crack era that was given to blacks by the CIA, admittedly. Right? They just talked about in Florida how the goddamn cops had they had their own crack that they was giving to people.
Listen. Like, this is important. This is important.
We got so much history.
Crack. What's crack?
Crack cocaine?
Yeah. Okay. Crack is cheap.
Oh yeah,
cocaine.
the crack law. Look at Biden got his son off.
Watered down cocaine.
Right.
It's cocaine for people who can't
also
afford.
administered a different way.
It's cocaine for people who can't afford cocaine. All right. It's pressed and stepped on coke, stretched out to where you can have rocks to make it affordable for people in the hood. Okay. We didn't come up with this. We didn't come up with the science of how to crystallize it and rock it up and freebase it. Right. That wasn't our thing. Okay. So that was put in. That's not even a secret no more. You have the Information Act or whatever talking about that particular conspiracy, which is not a conspiracy. CIA pushing that into big urban communities, right?
And we were aware of it at that time, but they denied it.
So Pete, if Ronald over here in this nice suburban area get caught with an 8-ball of cocaine, he gets a slap on the wrist, some rehab, on about your day. But Jerome over here in the hood, a nickel rock, a $5 rock, a dime rock that he's trying to base and get high, he getting 25 years.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? He got pure cocaine. You need that to make this. He's doing 25 years. It devastated the black families. The 80s was the worst period
This was
of time
in the
for
80s.
us. Yes.
And then that's when Reagan created the war on drugs,
Reagan and
which was
Clinton
code
together,
for war on blacks.
100%.
Damn.
100%.
Because if the
bro.
laws, if you say you got a war,
Why
on
can't we all
drugs,
just get along, man?
Well, because
we have
fuck?
to have these conversations. But I want to know,
because you
I wanna
can't
know
ignore
this.
history. You
got a question for you.
First, I'm gonna let you say you have to acknowledge history, then you have to move forward. But a lot of us want to say, forget history, let's move forward. Don't work like that. Because we're not acknowledging why we're not in an equal place.
Look at this. We represent large percentages of things with not a lot of us being here in America, right? Prison, right? So on and so forth. But we also represent a big percentage of things for good things as well, right?
Yeah.
We excel at things, right? So we have to get out of our own way and reprogram a lot of our young people. Like, nah, you're fucking smart as shit, right? I remember, and shout out to Jordan Peterson. I really like his content, but one period he was doing some weird content with Sam Harris, and they kept talking about race and IQ. I'm like, oh, here we go, right? And yeah, blacks are the lowest. They kept saying that. I'm like, my boy, my nigga, because y'all could call them niggas. I said, my nigga, we don't even take IQ tests. What are you talking about? I don't know nobody's taking an IQ test. I don't even know what the reason for taking one is, right? So I started doing research on IQ tests. I seen who had the highest IQ. At the time, it was some white dude, right? He's a loser. I'm like, well, what good is that for one? Let me take it. I took it, scored a 121, right? I took it again this year, 128. Like, this is not it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And lo and behold, I was doing research on intelligence. There's 9 forms of recognized intelligence, right? That kind of scholarly intelligence is not that even that important, right? Kinesthetic intelligence is more important than that, right? Spatial awareness, physical prowess, right? There's so many different types of intelligence that are not talked about because the people who come up with these things, these IQ tests, these Nobel Prize, all of that shit, they would never excel in all of the other forms of intelligence that matters more. Let's take Muhammad Ali, for instance. For all intents and purposes, he was considered illiterate. Does that man seem ignorant at all? He's an intelligent. You put a camera on him, he just boom, intellect, right? But he's able to articulate his body in a way that's poetic,
Right.
and that can hurt people and entertain people. That's genius, right? But these types of geniuses are not talked about because of the propaganda.
Exactly.
So that's why it's important for like people like myself and Keys. We talk about these things in our communities to let y'all know, bro, you are genius.
And
You did
IQ
what?
tests are completely biased.
It's just
I don't know
not.
shit about IQs. I've never even taken
It's
one.
actually dope. It's fun. I take
but
it.
they-
But it's what is this for?
It's what you're saying is
Socially
it's
and culturally,
testing.
they're biased.
It's testing one type of intelligence.
a certain type
And
of
so,
intelligence.
can you Google how many types? Because I've actually never heard
It's
that.
9.
Oh, it's a lot.
I've never heard that.
I wrote a blog on it.
Kinesthetic, creative, right? There's a lot of them.
Put Mike Rashid. Put 9 types. Mike Rashid. I put them all in a list. Here, put my name up there. Come on. There you go.
We're gonna use you as a source. Trust me,
Yes.
bro.
Yeah.
I love it.
God damn it. Somebody else wrote this shit.
Trust me,
Mike
bro.
Rashid, 9 forms of intelligence.
R.A.
RASHID.
Yeah.
9 forms of intelligence. 9 types. Boom.
Look at that. That's Mike fucking.
God body.
Dude, I knew Mike then. How old were you here?
That picture?
Yeah.
Probably 2014.
Fuck.
That's what? 10,
Still
11
jacked,
years
dude.
ago.
Still
11 years
jacked.
ago.
All right. Let me see him.
2014.
Oh, so stop right here. So these are. There's like this. You didn't just write this shit.
Musical, rhythmic, visual, spatial, verbal, linguistic, logical, mathematic, bodily, kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalistic.
I think I'm good at
and
those 6 and 7.
existential. Yeah, and you're good at 5.
Yeah.
You're good at 3. You have a podcast.
Oh yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Musical. I'm shy.
Okay.
Very shy.
Yeah.
Existential.
That's like the kind of shit that we be talking about
Yeah.
sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Is existence,
about the
consciousness,
universe and life.
things of that nature.
So obviously traditional IQ tests, they don't test for this kind of
It's
shit.
only
It's just
4, number 4 and 3.
logical mathematics. I'm terrible.
It's 3 and 4. No, it's 2,
math.
3 and 4.
Which is funny because
I suck at 2.
those other ones right now are a lot more necessary for the world that we live in.
Always. That's survive. You can't survive without these other ones. You can't survive without interpersonal intelligence, knowing how to deal with other people.
Intelligence is not up there, but I guess that goes with the intro.
Well, I'm
That's
not going to
intro.
say
That's intro.
I'm not going to say, well, why do we not talk about this stuff more? I feel like I already know the answer. It's
Well,
Exactly.
you got the standard IQ test, and even all the psychological models were made specifically around white men.
Yeah, because we wasn't involved
They
in the
put
models.
themselves at the
You know what I'm
center of it. So if they're going to describe a situation in which a young white male or a white man would be in, to where they can decide whether he's intelligent enough, it's not going to be created in a language to where those same social factors, right, or language is even used in an environment that another child comes from. So he's not going to understand that. So he might fail that. But if you put it in his language, then he might interpret that in the right way, and then he can understand and be like, okay, I get what this is.
But do you think it's on purpose to
Yes.
out, or is it just
Yes.
because that's
Let me
who's writing
explain.
it?
Let me
Well,
explain. It was a very intentional thing at one point. Now I'm gonna say at like Darwin times and moving forward. But then look, white people were lied to as well, right? White people were taught that black people were animals.
Well, yeah.
You feel me? So if you grow up thinking that, think about an innocent child, an innocent white child. He doesn't know. Oh no, stay away from those. You go to a zoo, they were having black people in zoos and shit. You know what I'm saying? Look at them. Look at her, right? So you grow up thinking
They're
like,
not like you.
You grow up thinking like they're subhuman, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, then people start that. Look, I did a thought experiment on OpenAI on ChatGPT, and at the root, I'm like, yo, are you biased? I'm paraphrasing. It was a lot deeper, but are you biased to white, Eurocentric perspectives? Yes, because of my programmers.
Pull up the bell
I'm
curve.
programmed by these people. So
By
yes,
Charles Murray.
it was saying it wasn't me, but my programmers are
bell
biased
curve.
Right.
naturally. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I was saying. Like the people who created
Yeah.
the test.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he got right to it, because they believed that they were superior based on like genetic differences. So they were trying to validate
They
a
were
lot
taught
of these
that.
different things, right? Even if you go through just this idea that intelligence or innovation came from lighter species, you know what I mean? What started this whole entire idea that the white man is superior. But you got to remember
Also-
that a lot of those psychologists and philosophers and figures were deeply white supremacists as well.
Bell curve.
It's got to be fair to talk about the fact that like also don't other cultures, like for example Asian cultures, they, at least one thing I know is like they don't want to be darker in their own culture. It's not about black and white. But
I don't know.
They like why Asian ladies will wear things because they don't like the peasants were the people who like were in the rice fields.
There's
I don't know.
colorism almost in all places. That's partly also due to colonialism and white supremacy as well.
Well, I'm talking about within their own, literally like over in China.
No, like in China, there you have a lot of.
But that doesn't have to do with white supremacy in China.
No, they're
It partially
white.
does,
Their
no,
skin is
because-
white. Like technically,
I guess when we're talking about the terms though, like when you say white supremacy,
I don't know.
people
I'm
think of
not-
it in here in America
Well,
like white supremacy.
it's not. White supremacy is not an American thing only. Like if you go in Africa, they had apartheid. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a global idea, right? That people started to believe, or it was spread as a global idea, right? About this idea that whites are superior and that white skin is superior.
Okay, there we go.
Right. And so even you go to Mexico, you go look at the leaders, they're very light skinned. Where are the dark skinned people? Right. You go to Brazil, very dark skinned country, light skinned
it's
leaders.
all black.
This
Brazil-
is done on purpose, right? There's a lot of self-hate almost everywhere you go.
And then they have this thing called the census, right? And this is why it's weird that they call black people minorities, because we're not by far, right? They just change what you're called in different places. You feel me? All of South America, the majority of South America are what you will, anybody in America will be like, that's a black dude or that's a black chick. You feel me? It's
Yeah.
called different things. But we're not there. We live in our bubble here, and we'll read the shit. Look, right here, race changes often. The most recent change is the silly. That's why people's like, all right, this is stupid. They just changed Northern Africans in America to be Caucasian.
Well, so
2020 census, you can pull that shit up. They just changed their category to be
Hold on,
Caucasian.
before you go off,
Oh,
this,
leave that, leave that.
No. Go back to this bell curve.
The bell curve, right, was that they was trying to say that human intelligence is genetic. Now, if you look at the bottom, where does it say this is funded by? White supremacist organization Pioneer Fund, right? Now, I don't know what you was about to pull up, but if you look at the Hamitic prophecies, right, they was trying to say that life started off in Asia and like in Europe and then ventured in other places, right? And that particular belief is what set off white supremacy, right? But then it was later found to be false. But the damage had already been done, right? So they spread these philosophies across the land, right? That you're inferior. And then the damage already done to these people, especially if you go to everybody watching America and they see white man is Superman, white man on top, things of that nature. We got to remember we're a very influential country, right? And so our media then spreads across the world. But then how does the media portray the black man in this country? Not as the businessman, not as smart, not as intelligent.
He's Richard Pryor.
Right? He's an athlete. He's an entertainer.
Or
but even
a
though
clown.
our two richest black men are engineers, but we don't see that being produced as an image. But then if we don't control our media, right, then we can't control the way we see ourselves. Then that creates an attitude, which is your disposition towards self or the world. So when I go to Africa, they go be like, what's up, my nigga? They ain't gonna see me as a revolutionary like a Malcolm X because they gonna know 50 Cent more than they know Malcolm. Why? It's because of the export of hip hop and media.
Only.
We kind of joked about this at my gym the other day. What about within the black community and culture itself that even to each other, like light skin, dark skin is like a feud?
Okay, let's talk about it. That's a behavior that was taught to us, a program to us on plantations. So on plantations, what you had was the managers of the plantation or the slavers or the owners, they would often have sex with the women, right? So they would have mixed children. Okay.
Yeah.
Those mixed children got better treatment. They were in the house, right? So you had a divide from the house slaves to the field slaves. They hated each other, okay? The field slaves looking at them like, y'all some fuck y'all sellouts. House slaves like, y'all dirty, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Peasant. So you had black people listen, here's another thing. When we were brought over here under the condition of slavery, just because everybody was black don't mean that we all fucked with each other. You have different tribes, spoke different languages. It was an intelligent but evil plan, and they mixed everybody up. You weren't with your other tribemen. You weren't with people that spoke your native tongue.
Weren't the people that came over here that oftentimes sold into slavery were people that were conquered in different tribes, like for example, tribes in Africa.
Yes, let me
would
talk about
conquer
that.
different
Let me
tribes and then
explain
sell
that.
them.
So, because people will be like, "Well, y'all did it to yourselves." Okay, to a degree, slavery existed in Africa before colonization, right?
Right.
However, it wasn't chattel slavery like Keys mentioned earlier. Those tribes that conquered other tribes, they had no idea what was about to happen
in Africa.
Yeah, they didn't know that you were going to get sailed across the world.
Yeah.
Right. So because typically slavery is a period of time, you work it off and then you're free. Right.
Yeah. Same thing like we saw in Gladiator or whatever, where they're like, yo, you fuck some shit up, now you can fight for your freedom.
That was normal slavery, right? But this is a revolutionary, what the Europeans did. The Arabs had a huge part in that too. I'll keep it 100. But the Europeans, it was egregious. It was, the most atrocious psychological raping, physical raping, sexually raping, and then making people work for free with the shittiest conditions. Even the way that we had to travel here, packed like sardines, pissing on who's in front of you. They shitting on you. You know what I'm saying? People sick, dying.
These are long trips.
Bro, it's across the fucking Atlantic Ocean.
Long trips. Like months.
No AC. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Fuck. People
would jump over to kill themselves. They'd rather death. You feel me? So this is like nobody's ever. And look, I don't give them a pass in Africa. The Africans that were complicit, fuck them too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anybody participating in this kind of slavery, fuck them. You feel me? So, and we're the descendants of the strongest motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Because once they got us here, they were breeding the strongest together. the most thorough together. They wanted strong workers. You made some beasts though, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, and if you look at like black people across the world, man, like objectively speaking, there is no group, we're all over the world. That's a fact. There's no group of black people having the kind of intellectual, creative expression of life like us here in America. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We're a little special here. We're a little different.
And,
you know what I'm saying?
And it's not all doom and gloom to me. Like
it's not.
You got
no. I'm saying this is we become like Cinderella.
Most of American history is just lost to people. Like most people don't know about the Seminole Wars. You know what I mean? Against the Native Americans and the whites, and then even Native Americans had slaves sometimes, but they never had chattel slavery. You know what I mean? Like pull up John Horse. John Horse to me is like one of the greatest figures. Because he fought for his freedom against America. He fought with America. He fought with the natives. He fought against the natives. And he eventually ended up dying, I believe, or disappearing in Mexico somewhere.
He's a Native American.
Nah, he's a black man.
He's a black man?
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of what we consider Native Americans, if you've seen them, you'd be like, oh, that's a black man.
Mixed African and Seminole ancestry. And then, of course, there's a big debate that a lot of the Native Americans were copper-colored people, which were us, very dark-skinned when they got here, which is already here. Like Africans had been traveling to America
hundreds of years before Columbus.
Columbus got lost, of course. He thought he was in India. That's why he called him India.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But John Horse, his story, when you go through it, you will see that he fought in multiple wars. So there's like war heroes during that time, right, that we don't even speak about when we talk about the history of the last 400 years. It wasn't that everybody was just slaves in shackles. There was warriors that was fighting and winning wars and surviving wars. You know what I mean? And that were great. So that's why the history should never be just seen as like some doom. It's like, no, there were great men during our history that were war heroes and generals and strategists and tacticians and that were military genius. But of course, those stories could not be spread because then the other people would start believing like, oh, wait a minute, if he's black and he can do that, then I can do that.
We have this power.
Yeah. So we don't talk about those wars at all.
Or why would we slave such good people, normal people? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of what, I don't even like the term white supremacy, but a lot of that racism that was taught was so that to justify slavery, to justify treating people like animals.
What did he say? He would go on to fight against the American army on the side of his fellow Seminole and eventually to work with the Americans during the Second Seminole War, 1835, right? Which means that he fought in like 3-4 different wars and survived. You know what I mean?
You got to be a G to
like
do
during that time.
Especially back then.
Yeah.
No medicine.
He fought at one point in time and got his freedom.
This is like playing like Diablo on hardcore and you never die.
Yeah.
You just never die.
Imagine fighting
Holy
the war,
shit.
getting your freedom, then they rescind your freedom, and now you got to fight again. You feel me? Like that's what I'm saying. Like that kind of resilient spirit is why you can see why we are the way we are. It wasn't just all chains and shackles. Like it was real warriors and rebellion.
Listen, the kind of treatment and the conditions that we had to deal with, it will break you if you're weak. If you're not, it makes you powerful. It is what it is.
It's funny. It's like everything we just talked about earlier.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot of people there's people who have been wiped out. You feel me?
Yeah.
We haven't. We
We're resilient as hell.
Yeah.
And that's why, we got to get that back for our ancestors. We owe them.
We gotta get that back, baby.
Who do I talk to? Horse, man. He fought all the wars. You feel me? I look at it like it'll actually be the best thing for America because number one, it'll create more harmony within a people.
100%.
Right? You can get rid of that original sin and then it'll cleanse America to be able to move forward. But
that's
until
what America
then,
needs.
you're going to always have division in America.
Do you think that if it was actually given, would it actually create harmony though?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah.
You don't think it would just create like
think about reality, right? Racism ain't shit, right?
Right.
Yeah,
because look,
about that.
You could talk shit about black people, I could talk shit about white people, but we'll see each other like, what's up? We homies, right? We don't be like, no, you white, get away from me.
What you described is like is real man shit,
just normal shit,
like friendly shit,
yeah.
Like where it's like you can have those sort of.
We're different. I'm gonna talk. If you're my friend, I'm gonna talk about something about you that's different than me. I'm gonna make fun of you.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna say shit about you that ain't even true because we're friends, right?
Yes,
and it's funny. So fuck all of that shit. The real issue is classism. You understand?
Yes.
We put race over everything, but it ain't race. It's classism. You feel me? That's why I don't. People like Donald Trump's racist. I don't know. I don't think he don't give a fuck. He just like money.
Yeah.
It's money.
He's
you know what I'm saying?
dude, I love that guy. He's so
and,
funny.
and racism ain't good for his bag. You feel me? I don't give a fuck if he is or not. I don't care if anybody's racist. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about the racists where they talking about, well, like, you said mean thing. I don't give a fuck. Like,
yeah, I get you.
It's only systemic racism.
Systemic
that we
racism
actually
is
talk
the
about.
issue.
Meaning somebody has the ability to create a system and it's designed to
And
perpetuate and
we
keep a
have
certain race
systems
down.
that are still racist. The police department is built on racism. It is. I just showed you. There was a time when America had no police. It was not necessary. You had bounties, right? And once slavery was abolished, no, even before that, they had slave patrol. Police badges are the same badges. They didn't even change the shit. They didn't even bother changing the shit. It's the same badges. If you pull up slave patrol badge, it's a cop badge. Why won't y'all change that shit? Look at that shit. What's different? And it's a Star David. It's a Jewish Star David. Fast. I didn't make it.
Wow,
It is.
well, they said they got the county over here on this one.
It don't matter. It's still a cop
I'm
badge.
trolling. I'm
a
trolling.
cop
I'm
badge.
trolling.
Why would y'all not change that shit?
You just sounded like a victim, bro. No, I'm
not
fucking
a
with
victim.
you. I'm fucking with you.
I'll make them victims.
I'm fucking with you. Dude.
I'll make them victims.
That's how you know I love you, though.
Nah, I
I'm
love
fucking
too.
with you.
And I have no problem with these. We could joke about it. I have no problem diving into these issues though. Because I'm like,
I
let's
love
talk
it.
about
That's why I
Let's
did
talk about
this.
it. And I fucks with you for wanting to talk about it.
For sure.
Bro,
For sure.
always, man. You know, like we've gone back. Like,
Yeah, bro.
you're my brother for sure.
100%.
But dude, I really appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
was
Thanks
fun.
for having us.
It was
For sure.
fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I do you have a podcast of your own?
Yeah, it's called High Level Conversations. It's one of the top shows in the world.
And you have one as well? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, I really do enjoy these kind of conversations because
brother.
it's all the shit that people are afraid to talk about or don't want to look a certain way of saying something. I don't give a fuck, man.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah.
I want to do a culturally insensitive podcast. Me. Talk
Like-
shit about everybody.
Just
Just like, fuck it. Just because I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. You know how
That's the name, culturally insensitive.
you know how sensitive everybody is.
Yeah.
Is if you get ahead of the shit and just say all the things, people gonna ease up a little bit.
well, that's
You know
what
I'm
Tate was kind of describing when he said, obviously, mixed black man, white man, whatever. But he said, I don't know if you've seen it, but he'll say like straight up hard R all over the internet, and his rationalization was that like be less sensitive about this word, don't let this word control you.
Well,
What is your
when
thought on that?
When I say nigga, it has nothing to do with a black person. It's whoever I'm talking to is a nigga. That's
Right.
not. That doesn't mean a
No,
black
but
person.
he's saying
But
he's saying the ER, which
He's
it ain't got
saying it-
nothing.
How,
it's-
what is he trying to say
it's
though?
not
What
a,
is he?
it's, there's no hold on.
What's the message though?
That message is not valid in the sense that there's no you can't
I
tell a
haven't heard
person not to be sensitive about a racist person using ER. That's just disrespect. Respect is respect. It's like somebody calling you a bitch. You feel me? Like I'm not gonna let it control me, but you're not going to be able to openly disrespect me because you want to. And it's my thing that I have to deal with. No. See, the one thing you could take from the Jews is they don't allow disrespect. They came up with a whole word called anti-Semitism, and a whole entire ADL behind that is an organization for you to report anybody who does something against you. And then they make sure that they implement rules, laws, regulations, and enforcement against you. That's called power, right? When you allow people to disrespect you, you have less power, not more, right? So if we talking about the evolution of them, those words don't control us no more. Black people ain't wilding out over that. Those are other cultures actually being obsessed with that word. We not obsessed with it. Back in the day, yeah, you might say something, somebody would fly off the handle and knock you
Do
out.
I get the pass then, or
No, ain't no passes.
I mean,
Ain't no passes.
you can. Hey, you can. You can see what happens. You
No,
know what
I'm
saying?
fucking with you.
All right.
I just think it's funny. I just had to do
look,
that. It's funny.
Any of my white homies, sure.
What?
I'm not saying
what-
what I'm gonna do or what I'm not gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Or what I'm gonna say or not gonna say.
You definitely
know what
would
I'm
look at me like, what the fuck?
No, but you
think
know what? I'm gonna tell you something that I've done. Something I've done. So I've seen, and this happened like 2020. I've seen a lot of people kind of getting weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And
You
I'll
said
go
getting weird?
Yeah, I'll go in their comments. These are white people that I'm cool with. I'll be like, y'all niggas is funny. I make them uncomfortable.
Well, because they saying
they
what?
be they be saying some borderline shit or reposting some borderline racist shit. I'm like, bro, y'all niggas is funny. they always text me trying to check my temperature. Hey, what's up, bro? Leave on red. Fuck out of here.
You never seen me do that.
Nah, I ain't never seen you do that.
Yeah.
I would say something to you because we know each other. I'd be like, bro, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'll say something. Anybody I know that's off color that I'm cool with, I'm gonna say something to you.
As you should.
Because if I can't, without you being offended, we're not friends.
That's a fact.
And then fuck you. I don't even give a fuck about you no more.
What were you gonna say?
I don't even remember at this point.
It's too funny.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Nah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's all respect. I think any people that advance in this world, it's because they respect it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they demand respect. It's not that you want to give it to them, like they demand it. You can't do business with the people and disrespect.
Yeah. I was just kind of talking about the sensationalism that sometimes people use to garner attention. And I mean, Tate, he kind of did it that way, but then he kind of made it like it was like, just don't be sensitive to this word. But
I agree with that.
But who is he speaking to? Is he speaking to blacks or is he speaking to whites?
He's on Twitter.
Right, I know, but his vast audience is not going to be black young men and women that's following him listening to this message. It's going to be sensationalized whites that be like, yeah, we with that. Yeah. But you're not even having a conversation with it. So the audience that the message could be intended for, it wouldn't even land. It would only be for racist whites to like it, tweet it, repost it, and being like, yeah, stop being sensitive.
He might be setting them up because if any white person that start talking like that is going to look crazy as fuck. That's not a vibe. That's not
I don't
a flex.
understand you as, if you're an intelligent, so-called righteous Christian white man, woman, why would you want to disrespect somebody?
Exactly. So the low level of people that would
I don't want they would show themselves.
I don't want to intentionally disrespect Jews
I want to see them.
Or Asians or whites or anybody on purpose to test their sensitivity level.
I see.
Yeah, anybody that do that, that's problematic.
That
that's
means
good
you don't respect
though.
those people if you do that.
Yeah,
I see.
That's real. Nobody I want to disrespect people I don't respect.
I get you. Exactly. I mean, go check the context.
Yeah.
Tate's very sharp.
I like
very sharp.
I like Tate.
He be doing some wild stuff though.
Yeah, he does. I guess apparently he wants to run.
Tate's not American though either. So Tate,
no, he's from the UK. He wants to run for parliament.
I don't know about that.
But he's just set up a party on Yes Bruv or something.
Hey, that's a big bag though.
Parliament don't allow a lot of outsiders.
But what I'm saying is like running for office.
You want
is
to
a
talk
big
about
bag.
a class system?
Lose
That's elitism.
Win or not.
I see what you're saying.
Anybody that do that,
that's
that's a bag.
Parliament before.
It's a great bag.
And we only got in
now.
there because it was somebody of bloodline, but they don't play.
And he's
around.
popular, so he gonna get a lot of, you know what I'm saying, a lot of motion.
He's doing it right now.
Nah, it's all popularity.
Yeah,
that's all this shit is.
Yeah, I think that the one truth about that is I don't think nobody should be sensitive about the things that happen on the internet because you can always close your app. Now there is dangerous things, right? If you a person with a large amount of influence and platform, you can create an environment that can be harmful to people, right? So it really just depends on how you want to use your power. But when it goes to how you want to use your time, like it ain't nothing that nobody says on the internet that riles me up, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't.
Nah. Yeah. Now, disrespect is disrespect. So if a person wants to check you for being disrespectful, that's just being men to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like if somebody goes on there and disrespect all white women and white men get mad, then of course you're supposed to. You're supposed to protect your woman.
Yeah.
Somebody disrespect all black men or black women, we get mad. You supposed to.
I had to check somebody the other day over that. The dude Myron for Fresh and Fit.
What happened?
I just seen a post. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, what was the post?
Talking about
intentionally disrespecting black women for no reason.
How black women are the lowest on the totem pole of attractiveness to him. I mean, black women wouldn't even look at you, but whatever. But also, this fool had like he did research on the weirdest statistics that are hardest to deal with in customer service. And why would you even research? Like, what? Who conducted that study? For one, it's bullshit. Anyway, so I checked. I said, bro, you are a very interesting person. I've never met a person like you. I didn't think people like you existed, being black and hating himself so much, right? Because he shits on black people so much. He wears the Ku Klux Klan hood. Like, it's just goofy. It's like, bro, they don't like you. A white racist dude will use you, but he don't respect you. And you a man, you a beast with no nation. So I told him, I DM'd him because I don't have his number. I got a new phone. I said, I'm very disappointed at you. I wasn't disrespectful. And he reported, I did a post when I mentioned it, said nothing disrespectful about him. He reported it, got my shit taken off of Instagram, got me blocked from doing lives for 30 days.
No.
It's like, bro, you the one who talk about people doing this to you.
Yeah. There's no way.
Yes.
You
way.
sure his fans didn't just do it?
Whatever.
Because I feel like I know Myron enough that he is, although people don't agree with him, I know him enough to believe at least what he tells me, what I've seen. And even on off-camera conversations that he's not the one for, well, let's take it away and let's censor it. Had to be his fans.
Maybe, but listen.
Because I would be shocked. I'd be shocked.
Maybe he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Right. But it happened after that post. And that post wasn't even crazy, right?
Yeah.
But why is his fans on my shit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I guess
So
he's saying,
so whatever. But anyway, nonetheless, now I don't respect that at all. I found that highly disrespectful, right?
the removal or the conversation piece?
What he was saying about black women.
Disrespecting black women.
Right.
I found the dude who posted it highly disrespectful, Sean Kelly, because the caption was stupid. It was like, what ethnic group are the hottest? But it's only a caption about shitting on black women.
Well,
right?
there's also something to say, like, this type of conversation is
It's
just
low
like,
level. Why are y'all talking about that?
Yeah,
Why
it's
is that
all-
important?
It's also just sensational to cause algorithm.
And this is what
Like-
these wonderful people out here, like, elevate your conversation, elevate the content that you're listening to. Why do you want to sit and listen to that filth? You know what I'm saying? Just men talking about how ugly women are. You feel me? But I think his content is problematic altogether. Like, I used to like them, right? Until I started learning more and more, hearing more and more of their shit. I had to walk off of their show before. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, what are y'all talking about? You know what I'm saying? Disrespecting. Look, I was trying to act with decorum because what I wanted to do was
You were trying to what?
Act with decorum, with respect.
Okay, got you.
But when I was on it last time, I was ready to turn up. Matter of fact, if you watch, I got up to leave, and I'm like, nah, because they started getting loud. Like, nah, I want some smoke. And you see, I sat down, I grabbed the mic, I pulled it closer to me, like, you know what I'm saying?
What?
And when they would say shit, I'm like, no, she ain't. I'm sorry, I'm trying to agitate them. But everybody got calm when I was there, right? But I shut this shit down, like, yo, this is stupid.
This is on the internet somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
I said, I need to cut this shit, like, and I walked off, right? So, and I don't watch their shit because it's redundant, right? The people, now, does he say some cool shit about investing and working out? Sure,
Yeah.
right? But you say a lot of volatile shit about women in general. You have women that are not the most intelligent women that you have on there, and you ask them, name 5 countries. Why? Why are you doing that? I get it. It makes them look silly. You get a lot of views. That's just low level shit. I don't need to participate. I don't want to be in that kind of environment. I can't be friends with people like that. That's just not dope.
I hear it.
I don't give a fuck. Okay, you made some money. Who gives a fuck? You got to pay for pussy. Y'all are on gigolo sites, or what is it called? What is it called? The dude that look for sugar daddy sites. What are you talking about, bro?
What do you mean they're on sugar daddy
They're on
sites?
sugar daddy, like on those kind of like dating sites.
Like they are?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
It's on the internet.
Like they're like, I'm a
It's
sugar
on the
daddy.
internet.
Like
bro.
I'm a sugar daddy.
People have exposed them to being, and then they be like, "Oh yeah, no, we got game. They don't get nothing from us. We'll fuck them, and that's it." That's a flex, my boy. That's a flex.
I didn't even know there was fucking sites like that.
Me either. But is that a flex? You're bragging about that, my boy.
I
Walter, you wear jewelry. You gotta, bro. You look stupid.
Oh, now you're going at Fresh.
I don't like neither one of them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Fuck them. I have zero respect for them. I saw Fresh not long ago, and I know he felt my energy, but I was just being cool with his little fucking dog, little Pomeranian. Why would a man have a Pomeranian?
Oh man, don't hate
Why
on
would
the
you have a
dog.
Pomeranian, bro?
No, don't do it to
The
the
fuck
dog,
are you doing with a
bro.
Pomeranian?
The
fuck outta
dog,
here.
but is he just like the dog? The
I'm
dog's
gonna-
a nice dog.
It can't do nothing but shit.
I know. I mean,
there's
listen,
no utility to a
I got
Pomeranian,
some cool dogs,
but
but
annoy you.
I love dogs, man. Just-
You have a Pomeranian?
no, but
Okay.
yeah,
You got beasts.
Yeah.
That's what a man's supposed to have.
I get it, but dogs, man, just leave the dog out of it.
A
We can
dog
talk
is
about
supposed to be a
conversation.
guard dog.
Yeah, I know, but
Protection.
he liked
a
the dog.
Pomeranian is not a thing.
Maybe it
It's
was a
weird.
gift. Maybe
It's
the
weird.
girl.
It's not.
It's fine.
I think he do that to attract women. Whatever. Dudes do
that's
that
the
shit.
game?
I don't know. Whatever the fuck. But I do not respect them. It's as simple as that.
Say what you say, man.
If they want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation. They
I'm sure
might
they'll respond to it.
They might see me in some situations, and you know what I'm saying? I'm always going to be comfortable.
Come on. Don't
They
go
might be
there.
uncomfortable.
Don't go there. Don't
But
go
see,
there.
you
Don't go there.
You see how that's interesting. You can't draw the line at dogs, but then not draw the line at black women. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about me.
Yeah.
Because if anybody, you got to understand.
Well,
it.
I was
And
just drawing the line at like, what does the dog have to do with everything else?
Yeah, but
I'm not talking about
a
like.
dude with a Pomeranian.
But
is
what does
kinda-
black women have to do with you going on the show? And
If you
having
don't
an
like
interview?
black women, just don't
You know
talk
what I
about
mean?
them.
You,
No, I get it.
You have a white man asking you about women and you shitting on them to him, and then he go takes that clip and make it viral so he can sensationalize hate against black women. And black women historically have been the most marginalized group in America.
Right.
And their
And
reputation
imitated
has been
by other
turned into
women.
what they call a Jezebel. And a Jezebel was created so that it made black women seem easier so that white men can do whatever they wanted to them. Right? So this has been in history that black women have historically fought against. You know what I'm saying? And black women are the most beautiful in the world.
Facts.
Listen.
The most imitated.
It's always gonna be some suckers that's gonna hate you because they can't get with you. That's always gonna be a reality of the world.
That's a fact.
But a real man ain't gonna never get on the internet and dog his women. You feel me?
Or
Because
any
you
women.
can't. How could you get respect from any other race of men when you don't even respect your own mothers, right? And sisters and aunties and the women that you come from? You don't deserve respect from nobody across the planet. If a white man gets online and he just dogging the hell out of white women, I'm
Nobody
not gonna
gonna respect
respect
them.
that.
Exactly.
You feel me? That's any race of men that disrespect their own people don't deserve respect from no people. Straight up.
That's some sucker shit.
I get
Straight
it.
up. You know
I get
what
it.
mean?
Well, I was just saying, my conversation into the dog was not so much
know.
defending
Yeah.
the fact
And
he's
I'm
talking
trolling
about.
about the dog.
I was just saying, like, I like dogs. I was just, it was not about color.
People love dogs a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't love Pomeranians. I'm sorry. I draw the line of Pomeranians.
That's, I
People
mean,
would
they're
draw a
sweet.
line on
I
the
love
dogs,
them.
boy.
Yeah, I love dogs. I got to
higher. Okay, go ahead.
Can you guys can
Go ahead.
stay right
Yeah.
here though
All right,
with the
all right.
conversation because this is really
Yeah.
this is really important.
No, that's something that affect me direct. You know what
What's
I'm saying?
that?
Offshore developers.
For sure.
Shit. Bro, the
It's
difference
wage
is
suppression.
the
These don't
risk-
want to have to pay people
the
more money.
difference is vast. These motherfuckers charging here. And they got attitudes and they be wanting, man, fuck all that shit.
But that was the whole Trump versus the MAGA. It was like, you gotta understand, not Trump versus MAGA, but Elon, right? Because Elon is an immigrant. Ramaswamy is an immigrant.
Yeah.
But they telling you we want more immigrants because if they
That's-
are both
that's how you
elites,
ma-
these are billionaires.
But here's
so
the thing.
they want to suppress wages. Why would I want to pay people
silly.
more?
It's silly because America is a nation of immigrants. There's no American. The natives.
Well, we
the
Americans.
natives.
We are.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm native.
All
I'm
right.
indigenous.
All right. Navajo.
Copper color.
You from Slapaho?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, bro. It's like this is a nation of immigrants. What are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? We should recruit the best
But
people.
that goes to a fundamental root cause. So the root cause would be capitalism, and how far does capitalism go in America?
Yeah.
I love these conversations.
the-
The best part before we continue
Yeah.
is that we were going to end and it just got better.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I love this shit.
We vibing. We flow
So
state.
the whole thing that I'm saying is like there's this whole faction of people who specifically speak about America first, and it's not even necessarily white
They don't believe that
Americans.
shit.
They don't believe that. What do you mean?
It's a trick.
All right, the fact, you know how Trump says that, right? He was riding that wave.
Okay.
But Trump is a business. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. You have a fiduciary duty to make more money for your businesses, right? All his clothing, the merch, all of that shit, China. He talks shit about China, but he's using their
Or
manufacturers.
Mexico.
You feel me? It's like, this is all, listen, people got to understand, I don't care if you love Trump or not. He's telling you the nice things that you want to hear.
Exactly. That's
And they're all
always
doing
been
they're
the play.
all doing that. But people act like he's so on.
Well, just to be clear,
I'm not
it's-
saying he's a bad dude. I'm not saying he's good.
Yeah.
I'm damn sure saying he's good. But I'm saying
he's of the ruling
poli-
class. He's gonna always be like that.
He's a
supposed to.
politician.
yeah, just to
And
be
they
clear,
think he's
it's-
not,
now he's
but
a
he is.
politician.
He is.
Right.
He's one of them people. People think that he's like one of the people. I'm like, my boy, he's a New York City billionaire. He don't give a fuck about you or your Bible.
Yeah.
You feel me? He don't give a fuck about
Well, he sold them that Bible.
facts. He even did some Hitler shit. If y'all
But-
peep,
but-
if y'all peep, he did a Hitler
Oh, not the
post.
Hitler allegations.
Put Trump Hitler Bible.
He did Hitler Bible.
What?
Yeah, this is 2020. I was like, bro, you kind of tripping right now. Look, this is bullshit. It was Photoshop. It wasn't. I seen that shit real time. You see that? You see how they try to, you know what I'm saying?
Which one?
The top, it say image of Hitler holding Bible was Photoshop. False. I saw that shit when it was happening.
What does that have to do with Trump?
No, that one says
It was a
image of
symbolic.
Hitler.
Hitler did the same shit.
This sounds conspiracy theory shit.
Go to images. Nah, I synced it.
I seen it. It wasn't AI.
Look, right? They saying fake now. Okay. All right, guys. Whatever.
What if
That's
it's
cool.
fake, bro?
Okay. Everything's fake. I'm gonna say that for anything I don't like. I guess fake.
Both of those
Photoshop.
angles. It's two
Photoshop.
angles, I guess.
Photoshop.
I don't know.
This
Oh,
nigga,
but
Trump don't give a fuck about you. Think he ever read a word in the Bible?
I'm probably.
A word?
I'm sure
Trump?
he's read. I'm sure he's read
Why?
some of the
Why
Bible,
would
bro.
he?
I'm sure he's
Why would
read
he?
some of the Bible.
I don't. Why are you so certain of that?
Me?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he's read a lot of books, and I think that why
you
would
think he read a lot of books?
Yeah,
Nah.
I bet you he reads books.
Nah. He has a robust fortitude. You know what I'm saying? He's not a book reader.
Which one of those?
He's not a book reader.
Which one of those 9 intelligences do you think he has the most of?
Interpersonal,
Okay.
intra. He knows himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's a good people person. He
understands people
if you
the
look at
most.
his interviews, like before this politics shit, he was smooth, bro. He was smooth. He charmed
Oh,
you.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got great.
And
old
he
interviews.
is a king for all intents and purposes. His life has been a life of royalty, and he's that guy. And he's
Yeah.
been that guy his entire life, just like his son Baron is going to be that guy.
Yeah, that dude.
So he's well polished. He can deal with
And
people.
he's part of the bloodline.
He's in there.
He grabbing the pussies and all.
But
Yeah, that shit was crazy. He
But
grabbed the pussy.
the America First thing is hasn't been real in a very long time. You know what I mean? It's
like the
propaganda that's-
purported idea, or
Yeah,
It's not.
The idea
not.
is used
this
to
would
get the
be
people,
This would
right,
be
but they
utopia
don't
if it
actually
was.
enact it because, like he said, for fiduciary duty, we got $1 trillion companies. We soon gonna have trillionaires. You know what I mean? That sort of accumulation of wealth is not people first; it's profit first.
Right.
Right. So when you got these American companies that are $1 trillion companies, what are they doing to make American lives better?
well,
Nothing.
but what I'm not saying that they're doing it or
Right.
they're on it, but there is a group of people that's becoming more and more like large.
But what does that mean, though? What are they doing
I mean,
besides talking?
They talk
They're
about
talking.
They talk about reshoring, but also it's just
They talk
business.
about- it's-
So
yeah.
if it's good for business, they will do it. If it's not good for business,
you
they
know
won't.
what? You know what America First is or should be? The eradication of poverty.
But America is a corporation. That's not his
Eradication
job.
of poverty.
yeah.
What's the biggest problem in this country? It's poverty. Anywhere in the world, it's poverty.
Homelessness and poverty.
It's poverty.
increases.
Nobody gives a fuck. But I've been locked up, right? I've been in a place where nobody gives a fuck about those people. You feel me? Nobody cares about these people.
I mean,
here.
that's a whole nother business in and of itself, which is
That too, but
fucking-
but a lot of those people are indigent or homeless. They don't
Yeah.
give a fuck. They in jail. They
Or
happy.
mental illnesses.
Mental illness, right? So there's a lot of, and then I have an organization called Dirty Angels. We feed mad people, right? Bro, these people are just, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah, I had
No
a
one
song
gives a
on. We were
fuck.
talking about this in detail.
Yeah, no one cares.
So, I mean, the same questions I was kind of asking him, like, does it ever, I just don't know if, we're just so lost, man.
Nah, we not.
Does it ever get fixed?
We not. No, because it's gonna
Not
have
by
to
the
be.
people who created the problem.
God got to come and wipe niggas out.
No.
You got to do a wipe out.
I think there's
Fires in
many
LA.
ways.
Fire is happening. You know what I'm
It
saying?
ain't simple
It's
fixes.
a great filter.
You feel me?
You heard
But
of the
there
great
are
filters?
fixes to it.
No.
The great filters is like, it's a philosophical and a scientific question or rationalization of why are we not traveling the universe, right? And they say, well, maybe there's a filter. Maybe humanity gets to a certain point, and then
or singularity.
we do something dumb and wipe ourselves out like a nuclear weapon.
I can
right?
see that happening.
Or
Yeah.
maybe there's a higher civilization of people that they watch us, they know our nature, and once we get to a certain point, start them over.
I mean,
Wipe
we
'em out.
already
You know what I'm
have
saying?
more technology than we need at this point.
Look-
Because
look into it.
we're
It's
only
interesting.
at this point we're creating technology to try to fix the problems that technology
Listen, there's
creates.
one thing I have a problem with
money.
technology. And the number one thing I have is I read something the other day about like teleportation and like some astral projection thing. And like they're like figuring out how to do this. And I'm really upset. Maybe it's a personal issue, but they still can't fix hair loss.
They can though.
They got
Turkey
fixes.
can fix hair loss.
But they don't really though.
They do though.
Okay, maybe that's a personal problem. I need to travel.
They do you for free.
Okay. Maybe I just need to go on.
They'll do
on a
you for
trip.
free. I'm telling you. They'll
I'm just saying,
pay
how are
for
we
you.
talking about that? But like, bro, what the fuck is good?
Turkey got you.
But
I'm not bullshitting.
I just want to teleport some hair to my head so that I'm
Turkey
just
got
like,
you.
you know what I'm saying?
You
Like
even care about hair?
a little bit. Obviously, I'm still wearing a motherfucking hat.
Take it off.
No, no, I need to cut it first.
He beat up a kid that hit his hat.
I seen that.
No, I didn't beat him up.
He beat him
I didn't
up.
beat him up.
He knocked him out.
Look,
No, I didn't knock him out. I didn't
The
concussion.
little dude tapped the hat and you did a full slap. It was a
he did a little. That was kind of
realistically, it was a 3-finger. It was a 3-finger.
Palm in there.
No, there was no palm.
That's
in there.
even more disrespectful. Not even a whole hand.
A slap is
worth
crazy.
the full slap.
A slap is crazy,
That's
though.
crazy.
Oh, no.
Look, I've never slapped a
He
man.
wasn't worth a full slap. It's crazy.
Hey, I admire that about you. I've never done that before.
No.
I
had him on the bike, talk to him afterwards. I
It don't
didn't
matter.
feel
He
great
got
about
slapped,
it, you
though. He
know?
got slapped.
It's in
It don't matter.
history. It's in the history of the internet.
That's gangster. Hey, give me some.
Well, I asked him. No. I asked him 3 times.
2100.
I asked him
the greatest slaps on the internet.
To be fair, I asked him 3 times, and then I was like, all right, I asked enough. You know? That's how I felt.
You asked him what?
I said, give my hat back 3 times. If he gave it to me on the first time, that wouldn't have happened. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm glad you slapped. I wish it would have been more impactful to him because I don't like these kids doing weird shit.
But he's a good kid. He is a good kid.
That was rude as fuck though. To knock your hat off. Like you don't do that to nobody.
But just to be clear, he and I did speak about this after, and he did acknowledge that he shouldn't have done that for sure. He 100%. He's a good person.
Well, yeah, he got slapped.
You got
for it.
he had to get
definitely
chastised. Anybody do something goofy like that? All right, that's cool. You can do it, but it's gonna be some kind of get back. You know what I'm saying?
But I didn't feel great about
That was
it
a
either.
weird thing to do though. To you.
It was weird for me. This whole situation was weird because I was not in on the joke. There was a joke about a song. There was a song called Payphone, and for some reason, when this song's on, it triggers him because it's something with like a past girlfriend of his. His friend Lacey at the time was like, "Yo, can you play the aux? Because like it's my gym." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Play Payphone." I was like, "All right," and I'm just playing it. So like in my head, I didn't know that there was this like, you know,
So you're like autistic.
no, it was just like like a
reacts.
personal, like an interpersonal joke that they had, and I didn't know about it. So
He
I was
has
like,
to slap the hat because of that.
no. So that was his reaction.
Oh,
Apparently,
he
was,
thought you was antagonizing.
he thought I
him.
was in on the joke.
Okay, that's cool.
And I didn't know.
Okay.
So I was just
now
sitting there
that-
like, what the fuck's going on?
Hey, I
Now
got a
y'all
rule.
both got a thing with the song.
Look, I got a rule.
Yeah, now Payphone. Now I know the song
I
like
got a
that.
rule. It be people like that, like little weenies.
Damn,
right?
that song got to be super triggering.
Weenies will
for him
test.
now. He added another traumatic event
Weenies
to
will
it.
test a formidable guy, right?
Say that one more
A
time.
weenie will test a formidable man
Yeah, pup will
because they think that you can't do nothing.
bark at a
I don't
lion.
give a fuck. You could be in a paraplegic if you're antagonist. If you're doing something,
Yo,
if you fucking with me,
bro.
I'm going to assume that you know some shit,
You're
right?
crazy.
I'm gonna take you serious.
Paraplegic's
I
wild,
don't give
though.
a fuck. Hey, remember Harry O? That motherfucker was a gangster.
Holy
Listen,
shit.
I'm not taking no chances.
That was funny.
I'm nervous. You know what I'm saying? You must know some shit.
That's funny.
I don't care how. I had a dude. A dude tried me like that, bro, in Vegas.
That's
A little itty bitty dude. He tried to put hand. He tried to like you get up. You in my section. I grabbed him and just. It was so effort. It's like, why would you do that? You so little. It was like nothing.
I wonder what he thought. He was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that.
And then the security came. I said, yo, go get help. Go get help. You ain't touching me. Go get help. Yo, no, Mike. I'm just saying, you can't put hands on people. Somebody touches me, it's
I get
all
it.
fair as war and
Yeah,
war,
yeah.
baby. If you, I don't give a fuck. So just don't bother nobody.
Yeah.
You don't do that shit to people.
You don't touch people's personal
He
space.
had
I
a
get it.
mental autism, man. He didn't know what he was
He
doing.
knocked the
man.
autism out of him, though. He knocked him off the spectrum.
Put him on a different spectrum.
was crazy.
That's crazy.
Man.
That's crazy.
So he was triggered by the hat to do like Tourette's. It was Tourette's.
Yeah.
had a tick.
Yeah. It
Tourette's
wasn't
is-
me.
I don't think Tourette's is real.
It wasn't me. Also, it was really
Tourette's
a
ain't
hug.
real.
Did you see the hug?
Nah.
Pull up the hug.
Is
Brad
Tourette's
Martin.
real?
Is Tourette's real?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I
Tourette's
think
is
so.
real?
You talking about just
Yeah,
people
for
saying
sure.
random shit?
Yeah. Why
I
they
think
always
so.
say negative?
Why
They be
would
like-
it be
they be
fake?
like nigga?
Do
Why
they?
don't they
I
say
ain't never
happy?
heard
See, look.
do that.
Your hair is fine. Oh, what's wrong with your hair?
See, I hugged him. That's the real
Oh, this
clip.
the AI. That's the AI.
You didn't see this one? This is the real one.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
Alternative reality.
Yeah,
He
bro.
was fucking
We're
close.
rewriting history over here.
It's a weird,
know?
Stable
shit-
Rondo. That's
that
his
shit
name.
weird.
Stable
bro.
Rondo.
Stable
yeah.
Ronaldo.
Be a good guy. See,
Alright,
that's the real one.
That's cool.
It's funny how many
crazy.
this shit has millions and millions of views.
That's
Both of them are.
hilarious, bro.
Rewriting history. That's crazy.
Yeah, there it is.
That's
Victor wrote it.
hilarious.
I don't trust nothing I see on the internet no more.
No, it's crazy, man.
At all.
It's crazy.
Damn. Nah, but people be saying, why you always say negative shit when you got Tourette's? I don't fuck with that.
I've never.
You never been around a positive Tourette's person?
Nah, have you? You haven't either.
Yeah.
No, you haven't. I know you ain't a liar either.
They just blurt out, I love you, Keys.
No, they don't.
And it happens.
Why is that? I'm gonna do some research.
on Tourette's.
Yeah.
Just a good excuse to
gotta
talk
know.
shit or what?
No. I just want to know why. Like, I don't think it's a real thing.
I don't know.
I think
But
it's
yeah.
real.
But bro, thank you
Shout
guys
out to
so
all the
much.
people that have Tourette's. I'm sure that you all are dealing with a real syndrome over there, and we
It's
take it
actually
serious
kinda-
over here.
It would
High
be
Level
dope to have
Conversation.
Tourette's to say whatever the fuck you want to say.
I mean, you could just say it anyways, right?
And act like you got Tourette's.
But by your logic, you just
I got
say-
Asperger's, so I can say shit and nobody.
Yeah,
you know what
fuck
I'm saying?
it.
It's what it is, what it
Okay.
is.
But no, thank you guys for real for coming
Thanks for
on.
having us,
That was a
bro.
lot of
Absolutely.
fun.
That was good.
Awesome.
My boy.
Great fucking
My brother.
conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.